Store on Facebook for weekly offers. Oh, and we also sell fuel too. Mabel Stores. Fresh, convenient, local.
Has your couch seen better days? Does your wallpaper have more history than a museum? Well, it's time for a makeover. Highland Radio and Foy's are giving you the chance to win €10,000 to transform your home, plus €10,000 in cash. And just to make things even better, we're giving away €1,000 every day from the 7th to the 11th of April. Grab your ticket now at highlandradio.com and your home might thank you.
The bold way to start your day. Highland Radio.
Greg. You're going to get a big thank you today from somebody. Do you know that? No, put up your microphone.
Why?
Because you're going to give somebody €1,000 today. So,
Oh,
thanks,
right,
Greg.
yeah, that's
What do you
right,
mean you're
okay.
all right?
I thought it was something else.
Like what?
Like I thought I don't know. I just thought it was something else. Yeah, no
you're
one
not
will thank
too
me.
G'd up
It's not
about
my
giving
money.
away $1,000 today.
It's not my money, but I am going to be so excited about it, and I'll tell the listeners about it after the news at 9.
All right, then. Good luck to you. Have a good morning.
Lee, have a good morning yourself. Indeed, the rest of the day as well. Just trying to get into it, Lee, you know. All right, I'll tell you about the money we've got to give away in a mo. But first at 9 o'clock, let's get a news update. And it's over to Donald Kavanagh.
Thank you, Greg. Good morning. The fire service is continuing to battle a fire at Barnesmore Gap. Gary Martin, the Director of Emergency Services with Donegal County Council, says there is once again a helicopter on site to help attack the blaze. At present, he says, there are no homes in danger and farmers are in the area at the moment, moving animals where necessary. He says the fire took hold again overnight, but with the helicopter in situ, they're hopeful the blaze will be brought under control in the coming hours.
It's over quite a wide frontier at the moment, so it's going to start attacking the front of fire as it's moving across various sides of the mountain. We also have 3 brigades that'll be in attendance here as well this morning. Very, very difficult terrain to actually attack from a firefighter perspective, and that's why we have the helicopter in as well. Donald, we're optimistic that we'll be able to get on top of it over the next number of hours. The attack last night concentrated in areas where the fire could spread towards property, and thankfully that seems to have worked out okay.
There are also reports of a fire at Nogala on the Fannet Peninsula this morning. Donegal County Council says a number of tenders are at the scene. The situation there is being closely monitored. A condition orange fire danger notice remains in place across the county. A man's been released on bail after being arrested by police investigating a large wildfire near the Mourne Mountains in County Down. It's being treated as arson. A major incident was declared in Hilltown over the weekend with more than 100 firefighters at the scene at the height of the operation. Meanwhile, more than 40 firefighters have been battling another wildfire in Dervock, County Antrim. It started yesterday afternoon. Donegal's TDs and senators are being urged to make a cross-party representation to have the national policy prohibiting building along the N56 reviewed. Ongoing efforts have been made at local level in response to the introduction of the policy, which means planning applications for developments along the route are being refused on safety grounds. However, there appears to be no plan as of yet to make any changes to the policy, despite concerns that it's worsening the housing crisis in the west of the county in particular. The Cathaoirleach of the Glenties Municipal District is Councillor John Hamish O'Farry.
We have discussed in council and at municipal districts for the last number of years, and nothing seems to be progressing at all. So I think it's very important that our TDs, all parties, get together and stand as one voice regarding this policy to be changed on the N56 to deliver for the people in the area, to develop housing and even businesses on the N56. When you leave Glenties now, Killybegs right round to the mountaintop, there's very few petrol stations or shops or anything.
Stock markets in Asia have fallen sharply as traders react to tariffs imposed by Donald Trump. Japan's Nikkei index dived nearly 8%, while Australia's main index fell more than 6%. The US president again defended his global levies, telling reporters that sometimes you have to take medicine to fix something. Megan Morris from Business Insider Singapore says that's not the response investors hoped for.
I think some investors were hoping for some comments this weekend that could indicate maybe an easing of tariffs or more room for negotiation. Trump offered nothing of the sort. We are seeing investors, I think, understand that we're in it for the long term.
Well, Taoiseach and Trade Minister Simon Harris is en route to Luxembourg for a meeting with his EU counterparts this morning. They'll be discussing potential retaliation. He says it's a time for calm heads.
We have to remind ourselves of where we want to get to here. And where we want to get to is a good trading relationship between the EU and the US. And we don't want to be in a tariff environment. But obviously, Europe has to show a willingness to act should the Trump administration refuse to come to the negotiating table in a real and substantive way.
Weather forecast: mist and fog patches clearing, leaving a dry and sunny day with top temperatures of 16 or 17 degrees Celsius in a light east to southeast breeze. And that's Highland Radio News. Back with more at 10 o'clock. Gary Martin, by the way, the Donegal County Council Emergency Services Director, will be on with Greg shortly to give an update on those fires both at Barnesmore and at Knockalla. And as I say, we're back at 10. But for now, from the newsroom this morning.
It's not just that Ilma and Julio's crops have been destroyed by extreme floods and drought. It's not just that this has happened again and again. It's not just that fear for their children's future grows greater every day. Climate change is pushing families in Guatemala further into poverty. And it's not just. Please support the Trócaire box appeal this Lent, because for these families, it's not just a box, it's a lifeline. Give what you can. Call 1-800-408-408 or visit trócaire.org. Trócaire, together for a just world.
And now, it's time for the talk of the Northwest. The 9 to Noon Show with Greg Hughes on Highland Radio.
Hello and a very good morning. It's 9:05 on this Monday. It's the 7th of April. You're very welcome along to the 9 till Noon Show, and it's glorious across the northwest of Ireland, indeed across the entire island of Ireland, as this great spell of good weather continues. Clear skies, lots of sunshine. Temperatures actually picking up a bit this week. It was lovely last week and over the weekend, but when you were in the breeze, still felt a bit springy. But anyway, hopefully it's nicer this week and you can get out, enjoy. But with this type of weather comes the peril, doesn't it? And as you heard Donald reference, a couple of wildfires have sprung up over the weekend. A massive drain on the emergency services as they go out to battle those fires, protect businesses, protect properties, protect land. We'll be getting an update, as was indicated, from Gary Martin this morning. And if there's anything you want to say in relation to that, please let us know. That and anything you want to talk about to 086 60 25,000. That's the WhatsApp and text number. Or you can give us a call on 07491 25,000 or email comments@highlandradio.com. And as you heard in the news, but it's all over the papers, starting with the Irish Times, the state will advocate for a firm but proportionate European response to US President Donald Trump's tariffs when European Union trade ministers meet today. The government is exploring ways to ramp up assistance to businesses seeking to diversify their export markets. This comes amid concern of the impact of the tariffs on those selling goods to the United States. 33% of our goods and services go to the United States. So that means, the majority go elsewhere. So maybe, there is opportunity in here to sort of explore new markets, especially if there's government support, and that would trickle down, I presume, to the local enterprise offices to assist people to say, well, maybe your goods or your services might be very attractive to this market or that market. Minister for Trade Simon Harris will attend that summit of EU trade ministers in Luxembourg. He said he'll make the state's commitment to EU unity clear, as well as the need to take a firm but proportionate response while working towards a negotiated solution. And the thing that we want to avoid, as you would know, and nothing has changed since last week, is Europe taking a response that would be disproportionately negative towards Ireland. And that's where the unity comes through. So whilst often we just read these words, those words are actually chosen carefully, and that effectively, I believe that is what he's saying. That let's do this, whatever we do, it has to be in the interests of all of Europe and not necessarily just the big boys. The Journal, the online outlet this morning, reports that thousands of women have to travel to neighbouring countries in Europe to access abortion care due to barriers faced at home. A cross-border investigation exporting abortion exposes this stark statistic for the first time following extensive examination of data and personal testimonies across Europe. The Journal's analysis found that more than 5,000 women travel from their home countries every year due to the difficulties they face in accessing abortion care. In 2023, that number was at least 5,860. And the figure is being revealed as a result of months of long research coordinated by Spanish outlet Publico, with the Journal Investigates as a core partner. And the investigation was conducted by journalists from across the continent and published by 11 media outlets. And the reason behind the phenomenon, as it's described, varies. Sometimes women realise they are pregnant after the legal deadline for abortion has passed, which is a conversation in and of itself. In other cases, the fetus has a malformation that local doctors do not consider serious enough to terminate the pregnancy, which is, again, another sort of moral conversation there. So regardless of what laws are introduced in what particular state, it seems that in really great numbers, in thousands, women still feel the need to make those, or not feel the need, do make those decisions. A bit of French politics in the Irish Daily Mail this morning. Shamed Marianne Le Pen, as she's described here, invoked the spirit of the civil rights hero Martin Luther King Jr. ahead of a mass rally held in Paris yesterday. The leader of the national rally was recently banned from running in France's 2027 presidential election after being found guilty of embezzling European Union funds. Ahead of her speech, in a video appearance given for a meeting held by Italian Deputy Prime Minister Matteo Salvini's anti-immigration Lega party in Florence, Le Pen insisted she would follow Martin Luther King Jr. as an example when seeking to appeal against her 5-year ban. The hard-right nationalist rally party leader added, "Our fight will be a peaceful fight, a democratic fight. We will follow Martin Luther King Jr., who defended civil rights, as an example." But interestingly, it wasn't a brilliant turnout for her. They had around about 8,000 people. I presume those figures might be disputed, but that was the average that I could, from those that were playing down the crowd to those that were bumping it up. But it was held on the banks of the River Seine in the shadow of the Eiffel Tower on a glorious day, and just 7,000 people turned out of a huge population of France, which I thought was really quite interesting. There's also another story in that paper, actually, as the state tries to figure out how to raise money for certain things. One of the options on the table was charging you more for access to streaming sites like Netflix. Well, Minister for Media Patrick O'Donovan will bring a memo to the Cabinet seeking to block a plan for a Netflix levy on streamers, saying the public are paying enough for entertainment. Maybe common sense is going to prevail here. Mr. O'Donovan was critical of a plan to allow Media Regulator Commissioner Mann to impose a content levy under the plan, which had been backed by the previous Media Minister, Catherine Martin. The proceeds would be used to fund independent productions in Ireland. Now, I mean, obviously, I'm sitting here working for independent media, and I'm not taking a position opposite to Commissioner Mann, but, people are paying enough as it is, and at the moment, your choices are for TV, Virgin Media, which is effectively ITV Ireland, or RTE, which has some original programming, as does Virgin, but an awful lot of their big content comes from abroad. And then the sport, well, we're already having to pay additionally for sport with GEA Plus, Sky Sports and everything else that's going on. I would prefer, personally speaking, that everyone's funded fairly, but at the end of the day, you decide what to pay based on the content, not with an additional levy on top of it. That's just my view. I'm not speaking on behalf of anyone. But anyway, I seem to be in agreement with Minister for Media Patrick O'Donovan here. I'm bringing a memo, he said, to government, and I await the outcome of discussions with my colleagues around the cabinet table, so I won't be saying much, Mr. O'Donovan told RT's The Week in Politics. Again, the government signed a €750 million blank cheque for RTE, and I personally on my own, would prefer to see that type of money distributed, more broadly. Okay, we'll get back to the papers, but as you can imagine, everyone associated with the emergency response to wildfire/ghost fires are under incredible pressure, as is Gary Martin, the Director of Emergency Services at Donegal County Council. So I want to go straight to you, Gary. So talk to me. We'll start with Barnasmore Gap, will we, first? Reports emerged about 5 o'clock yesterday evening of a wildfire. What happened and where are we at now?
Yeah, no, good morning, Greg. The wildfire, I suppose, started around about 5:30 p.m. yesterday afternoon, just on the Donegal side of Barnasmore Gap. Moved fairly quickly up the mountain in the townlands of Friars Bush and Ardnawark. Quite difficult terrain, very steep terrain. And it became apparent quite quickly that the brigades that we had on scene were going to require some aerial assistance. So we requested the aerial assistance from our private sector partners, executive helicopters, and they were actually on scene around about 8 p.m. last night. And until the hours of darkness then, around about, was it, I guess probably around about, it was nearly 9 o'clock, I guess, when darkness fell last night. They fought the fire and we managed to beat it back from any private sector or private housing that was going to be at risk overnight. But we didn't get it knocked down completely in the wild terrain that was there. So overnight the fire spread in the wild terrain. Thankfully, didn't threaten any properties. And at first light this morning, again, we had the helicopter up and the brigades out. And as we speak, they're fighting it now, and it was well. It's well under control, I think, at the moment. They'll be hopefully knocking it down in the next few hours.
What kind of resources are being used in terms of, I suppose, manpower, equipment, etc.?
Yeah, we had 3 brigades on the ground in Donegal town this morning. We had 5 last evening, and essentially what happens is on ground where you can safely put personnel onto it. They will adopt, I suppose, a wildfire management system, and basically they'll use beaters and water to dampen down the fire and to beat it back and to stop it spreading. That's fine in terrain where you can safely work and in terrain where the wind is not too high. So thankfully the wind was with us last night. It was quite mild, and on the lower parts of the slopes the personnel could actually beat out the fire. Some of the Barnesmore Gap, as you know, is very, very steep. The terrain as you go into the mountains is very, very difficult, and that's where the helicopter then comes into its own. It can drop 1,200 litres at a time, across a swathe of an area and knock back a fire quite quickly. So a combination of, I suppose, people on the ground, feet on the ground, and the aerial support unit is what we would generally tend to use in these types of wildfire situations.
Obviously, it will have to be determined as to how this fire started, I presume, Gary. But is it your view that this would have been started with human intervention? I'm not suggesting anything. Suggesting anything deliberate, but I don't think we have the temperatures for the random starting of fires, or perhaps we do. I don't know.
No, look, the reality is the vast majority of fires will start with human intervention. Sometimes they'll be malicious, sometimes they won't. And look, we don't know obviously at this stage as to what the cause of the fire and Barnesmore Gap was. The one thing I would do, I would appeal to anyone out there at the minute not to, under any circumstances, be lighting any fires or creating any source of ignition outside at the minute. The ground is very, very dry. There's a lot of fuel, that light brown grass that we all see that, is still the green grass hasn't grown through it yet. That acts just like tinder, and it just goes up in a flash. And the one good thing, I suppose, the one thing that worked in our favour yesterday and this morning is that the winds were very, very light. If we'd had strong ones behind that, it would have been a completely different story, as some of your listeners will know from past wildfires we've had in Donegal. When the wind's behind it, it's really, really difficult and indeed very dangerous for our personnel to respond to. So look, the one appeal I'd make today is, look, do not under any circumstances during this spell of good weather be outside lighting fires or creating any source of ignition.
But before we move to Knockalla, you're of the view that this is under control at this point now?
Yeah, we're knocking it back as we speak, and I would expect that we'll have it knocked back by I would say by lunchtime at the latest today. Yeah.
Right, what's the latest as it relates to the fire that started in the Knockalla area last night?
Yeah, similar type of a fire in high terrain. We had a number of brigades out there last night and again this morning. And again, because of the nature of the fire, we have a helicopter, a second helicopter actually en route. It should actually be on site as we speak. And that again will be adopting a similar, I suppose, approach with beaters on the ground and the aerial attack. And we would hope to get that knocked back. Now, it's a fairly extensive fire. And once the helicopter crew get a look at it, and once our senior personnel on the ground get a chance to review its spread and rate of spread, we'll make a determination then as to what additional resources we might need to bring in to deal with it if some are needed. But again, just to confirm, we'll be doing everything in our power to knock it back as quickly as possible. And again, my understanding is that there are no properties at the moment under threat or risk, which is obviously our primary concern. The threat to life and property being the first piece of work that we have to try to make sure we do.
2 helicopters then in the county. Are these private operators or services from the state? Or I'm not saying we haven't used them before, Gary, but I can't recall them being on site so quickly, so early in the year, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, they're private operators. They're really, really good. They're a fantastic company. We work with them quite regularly. They provide services to us, to the National Parks and Wildlife Service, to culture.
Right.
They're very well trained in aerial firefighting. I think they have 7 or 8 helicopters, and 6 or 7 of those helicopters are equipped to use the Bambi buckets, which is essentially the water carriers, and they can carry about 1,200 litres a time. And they're really, really skilled at what they do. And I just want to acknowledge and thank both them and indeed our own personnel, and indeed all of the local communities that always come out and help us at these times as well. It's wonderful to see the community response to these types of actions, but in an ideal world, we'd prefer not to have to respond to these types of actions at all.
Well, just to reiterate what you said a little bit earlier, Gary, before I let you go, at the end of the day, it's a tinderbox out there at the moment. Those are the conditions. The winds are light today, but they're still would contribute to the spread of a fire. These fires will not start if we don't have fires outside of the homes effectively, really. That's somewhere, or the discarding of a cigarette butt or portable fire, portable barbecues, whatever it might be. There has to be a source, and we can make sure there aren't sources for these fires, even maybe farmers burning on their property, whatever it might be. It's just not the time right now.
Absolutely. No, you have it in one there, Greg. You've described all of the things that people shouldn't be doing at the present time. And, common sense, do not be creating any source of ignition outside in the current weather conditions. All
right. Thanks for that, Gary. That's Gary Martin, Director of Emergency Services at Donegal County Council. Just finishing off the papers, and we talked about to representatives from the White Oaks about the issue of cocaine use and cocaine addiction here in the Northwest, and figures published today, which I thought sort of backs that up and gives a national picture as well. The number of people calling the HSE's drug and alcohol helpline has hit record levels, and the service has seen an explosion in contacts about cocaine. The HSE helpline handled almost 6,000 calls in 2023. Its latest annual report shows this is the biggest annual total since the facility was launched 28 years ago, and an 18% annual rise. There is a serious cocaine issue in this country that we just simply cannot, nor should we, ignore. And also, finally, there are currently 4,000 vacant local authority houses in Ireland. Now, the vacant property figures we get can be, I think, a little bit convoluted in that, you could have derelict properties, you could have second homes that people are entitled, you could argue, to do with whatever they want with them, but they'd be vacant on a census night, or holiday homes, did I mention that, or maybe homes that are effectively derelict. But 4,000 vacant local authority houses, it's really quite easy for us to understand what they are and where they are, and they're probably in areas of specific need. They are vacant at the moment, and that is enough to accommodate the 15,000 plus people who are currently homeless. The revelation was made by the Ain't Do leader Peadar Tóibín after a Freedom of Information request. He said the councils and the state are far too slow in restoring them to public use. The Meath West TD added, if those empty homes were brought back into use, there would be enough to house the total 15,600 people who are currently homeless. So, that's quite a big figure, isn't it? 4,000 local authority-owned homes which are derelict. I want to head back south now to the fire at Barnesmore Gap, the wildfire. Megan Slevin is managing partner of Biddy O'Barnes. Good morning, Megan. Thanks for your time.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing good. So I know there's an official timeline has been given at 5:30, but I've been speaking to someone who made a report about 5:08 that there was a fire in Barnesmore Gap. When did you guys at Biddy's become aware something was up?
So, to be honest, me and the family were just in Sligo on Sunday. So we were coming up probably about the same time, just after 5, when we seen kind of smoke from Donegal town. So my husband kind of was like, oh, that's like makes me nervous, that much smoke, because obviously it would, it's right above where our business is. And I kind of thought like, oh, it's probably nothing, so on. But as we kind of got up, we were like, wow, this is a lot of smoke. But still, it wasn't a fire as such. It just kind of, I suppose where there's smoke, there's fire. But it was just a good amount of smoke, and we didn't really think that much of it. And kind of there seemed to be some cars stopped, so we thought, oh, well, maybe like things are, everything's under control. And then not too long after, we just went back up just to check, make sure everybody's okay, like texted our neighbors. And then, the fire trucks were out not long after that. I was like, the response was pretty quick. So I think, that seems to be around the same timeline.
Yeah, so Biddy O'Barnes is on one side of the road. The fire's on the other side. Right. That's actually where you live, isn't it? So your concern was a double whammy at this stage, Megan. How close did the fire get to your property, and did you get a sense that maybe it could have been in danger? I must point out now the council are confident the fire is under control now and is being beaten back. But what about in the early evening? Yeah. Was it close to your home? How concerned were you?
It wasn't close to our home, so we have the big road in between us. We were, and it was kind of going up the mountain, and it seemed to be kind of going away from all of our neighbors' homes. So we were, hoping it would just kind of stay up the mountain and keep, traveling that way and not kind of travel back towards Donegal town. We're lucky that the winds happened to be in the right direction. And of course, just like having the California fires on my mind, I'm American originally, that I know that just depending on how the winds go, one stray spark, et cetera, can just ignite a new area. So I suppose there was definitely some nerves in thinking, literally, my husband took some photos even this morning, and it was just blazing up right behind the pub and right behind the little byre we have on site. And like, you just thought, will they ever be able to get it under control? But I'm looking up at the gap right now, and it's really only one little plume of smoke I can see, and the helicopter is still doing its job. So like, I'm really hopeful that they have it under control. But yeah, I suppose you don't know in these situations. Wildfires are just unpredictable, and one bad spark and that's, can light everything, and everything being so dry, we were a bit nervous.
Yeah, and funny, and in a way too, there's layers of danger and threat in this, in that a lot of people were rubbernecking or slowing down to watch on that. Really, it's a fast, dangerous stretch of road. So, the emergency services have lots to deal with, don't they, in these type of situations?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Like all of our slipways, like coming down into the pub, were all full of people like looking up at the fire, and the shoulders were all full of cars of people looking. I suppose it was a fairly incredible sight. You just saw, 2 or 3 pockets of fires in different kind of areas, like kind of one going to the left and one going to the right and one kind of going up the middle. And you just thought like, I suppose at the time the helicopter wasn't there yet, so you just thought like the firefighters, like they can't possibly get to them all the way up there. They were trying on the lower half to protect the houses, of course, and but there was just no physical way they were going to get up the mountain. And knowing that there's kind of forestry on the other side, you knew that if it gets up much further, it could get kind of to the point of no return. So the helicopter, thankfully, was very well timed.
Yeah, for sure, indeed. And I did, ignorantly, I didn't really know we had access to those resources so timingly. Now, that's good news, and it seems we were concerned about the Quilcha plantation, which is over the Glenfin side of the Blue Stacks. That seems to be secure at this point. And I think Biddy O'Barnes are offering refreshments to emergency service workers. Or was that the case yesterday?
Yeah.
Or is there anything you want to mention in that regard?
No. I actually was only just texting him this morning, just because they must be exhausted. It was a long night and a long morning, and I think the fire trucks were out there all night. I know the helicopter couldn't be in the nighttime, but they were up first thing in the morning. So anything we can do to buoy the spirits a little bit is the least we can do as a member of this part of the community.
Okay. All right. Listen, thanks for that, Megan. And it's great that your business is going so well for yourself and Aaron, isn't it? Is your other half, isn't it?
Aaron, that's right.
Lovely stuff. Thanks so much, Megan. Take care of yourself. Bye-bye. That's Megan Slevin there's managing partner of Biddy O'Barnes. And they were sort of not in the pathway, that would be a ridiculous thing to say, but just sort of right in the local vicinity. Right, okay. I want to mention something before our first break of the show, and that is time. Because time is of the essence. We have our €20,000 in value home makeover draw in association with Foy's. €10,000 of that is available for you to work with and spend in Foy's to do up your house, or maybe your second house, or whatever you might have. It's up to you. They've got everything you might need for that, from curtains to couches and everything in between. We're also giving you €10,000 in cash. Now, you can spend that on your house as well, or you can buy yourself a car or go on holidays or do whatever you like. Write down some of your mortgage, save yourself some interest. It's completely up to you. That's a €20,000 draw. We are going to make the draw for that on April 16th, but the reason I mentioned time is as we start the giveaways today. We are giving away 1K today on the show, €1,000. And there's €1,000 every day this week to give away as well. So in total, there's 6 prizes, €5,000 in 1,000 chunks. And then, of course, the big one, the €20,000 home makeover draw. €10,000 that is €10,000 of that is cash, €10,000 to work with Foy's to spend on your property. So if you want to be in all of those draws, you have about less than 2 hours. So we are able to process your calls now. Get onto our website, highlandradio.com, and click Win a Home Makeover and answer a simple question. That's just part of the T's and C's of running something like this. And buy a single ticket for €15. That could be the winning ticket. Who's to say? Or maybe you want to increase your chances and get 5 for €50. So that means tickets are just a tenner. It's completely up to you, whatever you can afford and what you can afford within your means. That's highlandradio.com, perfectly safe and secure. But if you want to give us a call, we can process the tickets and get your ticket numbers into your email, and we'll give you the numbers. You'll know the numbers for the draw later on. You can give us a call right now on 074 91 25,000. And as I say, to be in all of the draws, we have a very short window, and we want to get everyone a ticket that wants one. So if you do want to enter this draw, €1,000 going to someone today, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then that 20k in value prize on April 6th. You need to give us a call right now, 074 91 25,000, and then you are in every draw. If you've already bought your ticket, of course you're in all draws, and you could win the grand today, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, and then, of course, you'd be in the draw for the big one. There are great odds on this, so get involved if you wish, compared to some other ways we decide to spend our money. But what was I going to say? Yeah, we'll have to draw about 11:30 on this show. You don't have to answer your phone. There's no rings. There's no 4 rings, 5 rings, 10 rings. You don't have to even have your phone with you. You will win if your ticket comes out. That's it. Your number, your name, your money. Simple as that. So go on to our website, highlandradio.com, or give us a call here on 074 91 25,000, and we'll get you into all of those draws today. Then you can sit back and see if you're a winner.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Simplify your debts with a debt consolidation loan from Letterkenny Credit Union. Call us on 074 910 2126 or apply online via our app or in office today.
Donegal Town Hardware's massive fencing and paving sale takes place this weekend, with discounts on all fencing, paving and decking. 15% off smart fence, composite fencing, PVC fencing and ESC fencing. 15% off cobble paving and composite decking. And big savings on all timber fencing. Don't miss out on these unbeatable deals this Friday 11th and Saturday 12th of April at Donegal Town Hardware.
New this week in Home Store and More, all Rattan Garden furniture is 33% off. But better hurry, because when all our 33% off Rattan Garden furniture is gone, it's gone. We have a great range of Rattan Garden furniture, from corner sets to dining and bistro sets. Like our Parma Rattan Corner Sofa set, only $499.50. Or our Sereno 7-piece Rattan Dining set, only $299.50. Drop by your local Home Store and More. Visit us online at homestoreandmore.ie. Home Store and More. A happy home.
Callahan's Electrical is Donegal's top destination for home appliances, offering unbeatable prices on trusted brands like Samsung, Rangemaster, AGA, Neff and Bosch. Whether you're upgrading or building a new home, visit Callahan's Electrical in Letterkenny or Burt, where quality comes home.
Highland Radio Time Checks brought to you by EirGrid, the operator and developer of Ireland's electricity grid. EirGrid, powering up communities, powering up Ireland. The time is
10:33. I'm joined on the show now by John. How are you getting on, John?
Hi, John. Or hi, Greg. Good morning.
You're having it tight at the moment, John.
Yeah, I'm in a bit of a situation. I'm just like to raise awareness about the situation I'm in. I'm actually homeless at the minute.
All right, I want to talk about that in a moment, but I want to go back to the scourge of the head shops. I remember it so clearly because I was working down at Northwest Radio at that time, and there was ones around the place, and it was causing nightmares for people because there was no real guidance on the dangers initially. It did come, but maybe too late. That was a problem for you, wasn't it, in terms of what they were selling and forming an addiction?
Yeah, it was legal highs, like substitutes to like cannabis and cocaine. You could just go into the shop and buy it over the counter. The shops were open like for 2 years, and there were loopholes left in the legislation the whole time, so they didn't shut for 2 years, which led me into addiction for a couple of years from attending them shops.
And did that affect your life? Of course, any addiction would, John, but it affects people in more and less severe ways. What impact did that addiction have on you? And I suppose if you got back on your feet since?
Yeah, it has made me lose contact with my family members. It's made me lose confidence in myself. It's made me not be able to progress in life. I can hold down jobs for a while now, and then I'd lose it because of the mental health effects that came along with it.
Yeah, that sort of carried on from the addiction of these substances that we don't know the tricks they were playing on our brains.
Yeah, but I went into White Oaks in 2016, and I'm in recovery since.
Well done. Okay, and hope
I had a couple of relapses, but I'm nearly there.
Well, you know what? That happens. I think the fact that you've been, for the most part, addiction-free for that long is something to be impressive, something to be proud of. But that being said... go ahead. Sorry, go on, John.
Yeah, for anybody to get through them struggles, because I know what it's like, how tough it is. It's an achievement on its own.
So, in terms of the struggles with mental health issues in holding down a job, regular income, obviously we're in a housing crisis, properties at a premium. Have you been able to have a roof over your head for any sustained time at all, or what's your life like?
Yeah, well, I lost my home house through to the courts back when I was young, so it was no fault of my own. I did have an apartment in Letterkenny in 2017 through Steer Housing, which is a great organisation. But after my father died, I went to a different county to live with his brother to try and build up my life, so I handed the keys back. And when I come back to Donegal in 2018, I've been homeless since.
And what does that mean in terms of where you've had to stay? I mean, there are services available, and we're going to get to that in a moment because that's really why we're calling you, or while we're speaking to you. But, have you had to sleep outside, or have you always managed to find a roof to sleep under, or what's the story?
No. Some of the times, I would get on and I would be surface soaking and friends. I've been out in the cold for multiple times at night time. I slept in Letterkenny University Hospital, sometimes in reception, and it's affected me, and it's brought shame on me that I had to do this, just to get a bit of heat at night time.
Now, you're living in North Donegal for the last 2.5 years, and as best as you can, this is where you've kind of established roots, isn't that correct?
Yeah, I moved down here 2.5 years ago to the Nishuan community, and I've built up support around people, and I'm very anxious of people that I'll be around and stuff, so I've got to know people in the community. So it's easier to walk up the street and somebody say hello, how's your day? It's nice to hear.
Well, it's a sense of being part of a community, isn't it? And for the last 2.5 years, have you had stable accommodation, John? I know you've been in receipt of homeless vouchers. What do you use them for, and where have you been staying? Not specifics, I'm on about the type of accommodation. Yeah,
I've been staying in like a B&B, like in a one bedroom. Like I have my own wee space, my own room, wee TV in the room, and sometimes there'll be other people in the accommodation, or sometimes I might have it for a long period at a time for myself, which is a place where I can call home, which I never had. My family home house was lost, which is a great stepping stone for me in my recovery. Okay,
so you've been there more or less every night for the last 2.5 years.
Yeah, well, I got locked up in prison for a couple of months, but this is where I started my life in 2023.
Yeah, okay. And you've been contacted by the council now to say that these vouchers that allow you to stay there are no use anymore. You're not getting them anymore.
No, I moved down here, and then 2 Fridays ago, I got a contact from the council to say that they're stopping all emergency accommodation in the Nishowen area, which was a big shock to me. I didn't know what to do, so I rang my support workers and my probation officer, was a probation, and they were shocked to find out that this was happening. So they got me an emergency voucher for the following week to get letters from my mental health, my probation, and my doctors and my support workers to say, it's unsuitable conditions where you're putting this man with mental health issues and recovery, and to share accommodation in Bundoran and sharing with 3 other people. But it's like if they're undermining all these people, like in the prison service, that they do to rehabilitate people in prison and get them back into the community. And they say White Oaks, we're doing a great job at recovering people, and like some mental health issues. Like these people's been undermined. I'm just wondering who made this decision? Did they involve all these services in this decision, or?
So effectively, John, you've been told that instead of homeless vouchers, you've been offered a place in a secure accommodation, but it is in Bundoran, which is quite literally at the other end of the county. If you don't accept that, you are effectively out in the streets again, then I take it. Yeah,
I'm out in the streets here since Friday night. I've been sleeping outside since Friday night, because I refused to take it, because I was on them kind of accommodations in Letterkenny in the past where there's multiple people in the one building, and it didn't suit my mental health. I fell into addiction, and it would lead me down the road of criminality again, which I didn't find my life improving in that situation. So that's why I refused to go to Bundoran and share the accommodation with people that's in recovery, people with mental health issues, people from all walks of life. No fault of their own. If I was to have a bad counselling session on a day, I have to go back to a building where there's numerous people and I can't have the time to think and to progress in my life.
So you fear deterioration of your mental health, or indeed an addiction relapse potentially?
Yes. And there's not proper support services over there. Like, you don't have your mental health, you don't have your probation, you don't have your support workers. You've none of that over there, and if you were to go to a meeting in Donegal town, it's €24 returning a bus, and if you had to go to 2 or 3 meetings a week and pay your voucher, it doesn't work out. I'm only speaking for myself, but people that has kids and people that's working and stuff, they have to relocate, and they won't have that family support for their kids.
I presume we can both agree, John, that the council paying bed and breakfast rates to keep you in accommodation all year round is not sustainable. What are you calling for you then? Is it? Go ahead, yeah.
I'm just trying to call out and try and speak out for myself, but other homeless people that doesn't have the voice and the confidence. I would like to see better communication with the council and the support workers and the mental health team and the guards and stuff involved in them meetings. And I would like to see emergency accommodation for the Nishowen area, for every area, because I don't think it's right that I have to uproot again and move to Bundoran and start all over again. Try and start all over again. This is holding me back from getting married, having children on my own. It's frustrating on me. I'm sorry for my thing, sorry for the way I might be able to come across right. It's just my anxiety and depression's up the roof here.
Well, if it's any comfort, you're coming across, I can understand everything you're saying perfectly, and you're speaking perfectly well. Whether people agree or disagree, that's, yourself, John, that's outside of your or my control, but you're speaking perfectly fine. If you were offered a hotel room for a year in Inishowen, would you accept it? Would that be a appropriate accommodation for you, for an example?
Yeah, any accommodation suitable, if they had years of planning, the homeless is rising in Donegal over the years, and they had years of planning, and this is the plan that they come up with. They've seen this in Dublin and Galway and stuff. This solution doesn't work. It's like we're being brushed under the table or brushed under the carpet, and we've no speaking at all. Yeah. I would just like to see emergency accommodation suitable for a person and their needs.
Well, you see, it's an important opportunity, I think, to mention about homelessness, in that an awful lot, if not the majority of homeless in this country, it is not just, and I've said this on the show before, and got a bit of criticism for it, it's not just about getting someone a room. Someone like yourself, John, who, a lot of homeless people, not all, but a lot of homeless people are in the same situation as you. There are additional services that are required for someone like you close to where you are. So theoretically, there's no point just giving you a room in Bundoran. You need accommodation where you've laid down your roots, but you also need access to counselling and what other services you might need. And that's why the homeless situation is as complex as it is.
Yeah, exactly. But that's no fault of my own. I would just like a better solution for it.
Yeah, no, I'm just talking to. I know that, John. Yeah. I'm just talking to the complexities of it. That it's not just a room. It's about supports. It's about access to counselling services, etc.
I have that wraparound support on the show.
Yeah, which is
where I am at the minute.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. My parents and my grandparents worked all their life, for their kids, and for their kids to be treated like this now and not being able to progress in life. I think it is, a disgrace. You were saying about a hotel room. I wouldn't care if it was a hotel room or just if I had a wee corner of space to myself. The B&B vouchers, where I'm just going through my head. It's like, did the funding get cut for the emergency accommodation in Donegal, or what's the issue? Or if it's to do with money issues, they shouldn't put money on somebody's life. Ask the government for more funding. I don't know who came up with this decision, or they're not an expert. They're not mental health. They're not probation. They can't. But they're doing the best. I don't blame the people in the council. They're trying to put a solution to this, but I don't think this is the right one for me in my circumstances.
I want to ask you one question, John, and it's up to you if you answer it or not. But I'm just curious. What is it about your situation that then can lead to criminality? What happens that you then commit a crime? Is it that you are desperate? Is it your mental health? What is happening there that would find you before the courts?
Because my mental health wouldn't be as strong. I'm not fully recovered yet, and I would be easy led. So if I'm in a building that people's chatting criminality and all the time, that's just what's going through my head. And then I just see a different path in life when I know my parents raised me up to have a good life, and I'm on that path right now, and I don't want to go back down the ladder again and start over.
Again, you don't have to answer when you served time. What was it for? Stealing? Was it assault? What was it?
No, it was assault. It was my mental health issues. I lashed out.
Right, okay. All right, John, listen, we'll make inquiries to the local authority to see what the story is. I do appreciate your time, and I wish you the best, John. I think everyone has the right to be supported and rehabilitated. Not everyone might agree with me, but I appreciate your time, John. Councillor Michael McClafferty, I only have a minute or two, if you don't mind. As important as an issue this is, we will return to it. But you've been engaging as a local rep with people in a similar boat. What's their story?
Basically, Greg, that is much the same as John's there, and along the same lines as what you pointed out yourself, the need to wraparound service and everything else. The thrust of it is basically the people that's been in touch with me at the minute, some of them at least, others have been in touch. I just didn't get talking to them yet. They've been told to go to the Kenny Hostel, or the Kenny Hostel is full. They've been told to go to Bundoran. My understanding is Bundoran is full, or more or less full, according to my colleagues up that direction. This is not good enough. I've made efforts. I'm trying to make efforts. Well, I have made efforts, trying to make efforts over the weekend to get a hold of the council here to try and get an emergency meeting on this. I believe we need that to see where we're going, because, like I was saying to Caroline there, just quickly here, when everywhere's full, where are we going to put them, Greg? It's unacceptable. This has been thrown on top of us as councillors, and a pile and just there you go. We don't have the answers, and these people now are starting to coming on to us, and that's rightly so. But like every councillor in Donegal is going to be inundated at the minute with various different stories, and they're all the same one. What
do we know about is it across the board that homeless vouchers are being withdrawn?
To be honest with you, Greg, like I was saying to Caroline there, I don't honestly know, because I'm trying to establish that myself.
I just find it hard to believe that a decision like that could be made without local authority members being notified of it. I mean, there's a...
Well, thank you for saying that, because I said that to people Friday evening. I says, I'm not aware of this. And they were taking it back themselves then. I wasn't aware. I'm not aware of it, Greg.
With significant policy changes like this, you should be notified by a weekly or monthly email or something, I'd imagine.
And it's a total mess, like, it is a total mess at the minute. And it is something that, like I said, we need to try and get an emergency meeting on it. We need to see what's going to happen going forward, because it's going to happen this week, probably, for many people. There's going to be nowhere for them to go. And that's what I'm trying to establish this morning for my own managers and that. What do we do for these people now going forward? What do I do for the people that got in contact over the weekend? Some of them spoke to me. Others have to get back to us through email and so on. Like,
it's interesting, John's comment, because a lot of people on the streets of Dublin stay on the streets, for an example, because I've spoken to people and seen programmes on this. They don't want to go into shared accommodation because they are vulnerable. They're often in recovery from addiction or what have you, or they don't feel safe, or there's people shooting up in these. I'm not saying it's happening in Bundoran or Letterkenny because there's security there, but in some of these group accommodations, there's a lot of activity ongoing in them, and that's why many people choose to be on the streets than stay in these types of accommodation.
Yeah, and it's a sad state of affairs too, Greg, that that's where we're at in society. I can't see either what's happening where and where so much happening or what is not happening. But the reality is, you and I know, and everybody else knows, and unfortunately people in the streets of Dublin and elsewhere know, it is happening in these places. Might not be happening in every place, but it's happening somewhere. Okay. And for example, I've had a vulnerable person contact over the weekend through an email. They've had a difficult background. They don't want to go back to that background again, and they say if they get into hostel somewhere like that, that's the first thing that's going to happen, because somebody's going to push drugs on them, push a needle at them, leave a needle in front of them, whatever. Away you go again. She's trying her best to recover, has recovered, and she does not want to go down that road again. And this is the kind of stuff that we need to get into the council for an emergency meeting for every council to put across the stories.
Keep us updated on
help the public.
Yeah, keep us updated on any progress in that regard. That's Independent Councillor Michael McClafferty.
The 9 till Noon Show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union. Digital loans now available. Apply online or via our app today and get your loan transferred directly to your current account.
With more routes nationwide, your TFI Local Link bus service provides connection to the wider Transport for Ireland public transport network. Save up to 30% when you use your TFI Leap card on TFI Local Link services. For route and timetable information, visit transportforireland.ie. We're Transport for Ireland. We're Transport for you.
Crawford Tiles Castlefin. Spring Madness. New tiles in stock. 45 by 45, €12.99. 60 by 60, €14.99. 75 by 75, €19.99. And 1200 by 600, €24.99. All in stock and ready to go. Visit crawfordtiles.com or call 91439942.
There's bingo every Monday night at Halfway House Burnfoot. Doors open at 7:30 with eyes down at 8:30. €2,500 must go. This snowball is now €1,800 on 45 numbers or less. If you're not in, you can't win. That's Halfway House Bingo tonight at 8:30.
Luxury is not merely seen or heard or even touched. True luxury is experienced. It lies in the minute details that elevate the ordinary into the extraordinary. It's quiet spoken, but leaves a lasting impression. You know it when you feel it. Luxury begins with L. Lexus. Experience amazing. Discover the all-electrified range at Lexus Letterkenny.
The 9 till Noon Show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, with monster loans available up to €60,000 for all occasions. Visit letterkennycu.ie.
Do you need a UK address? Save hundreds of euros on custom charges shopping online with Space Hub Dairy. We provide a full virtual office address mailbox service for all your business and personal use. Save your business hundreds, possibly thousands, on custom charges with Space Hub Dairy. Call 048 7187 8077 for more details.
Do you need a little extra help staying in your home? At Bluebird Care, we offer a wide variety of QMark-approved personalised home care services across Donegal. And our fully trained and committed staff will always meet your care needs with kindness, compassion and dignity. To get your personal home care assessment plan, visit bluebirdcare.ie or call our care team today on 07491 29562 and bring care home.
Thinking about going solar? Want to save money on your energy bills? Then join us for our All About Solar information evening at Efficient Renewables, Main Street, Newton Cunningham on Thursday 24th of April at 7:30 p.m. Learn how solar works, the best system for your home. Battery storage, payback times and real savings. Our experts will be there to answer all your questions. Don't miss the chance to take control of your energy bills. Join us on Thursday the 24th of April at 7:30 p.m. Efficient Renewables, powering a brighter future.
Cupra. People tend to become obsessed. What is it? Where do I find it? How do I get one? And the new Cupra range will only increase that sense of desire, with power options from petrol and diesel to plug-in hybrid and full electric. Experience the new Leon, the new Formentor, and the new all-electric Born VZ. Available now with exclusive offers. That thing you feel? It's called obsession. Visit CupraOfficial.ie.
Your local Cupra dealer is DMG Motors, Clar Road, Donegal Town. Telephone 074 97 21396.
Highland Radio weather updates with McElhenney's. Discover trending new styles each week in fashion, footwear, accessories, homeware and more. Visit us to explore the latest arrivals in store or shop online at mcelhenneys.com today.
We could get used to the weather because the weather forecasts are really short. It's dry and sunny day with top temperatures of 14 to 17 degrees in a light east to southeast breeze. A caller says, tell John to get a job. It'll help him instead of getting things handed to him for free. Us taxpayers are paying for him. You taxpayers are paying for lots. Of course, John buys stuff and pays tax and everything he buys from milk, bread. But I take your point. But, you know, this is the reality of homelessness for an awful lot of people, that they're not capable of work, that his mental health issues are such that it's difficult for him to hold down a job. So on one hand, I don't know, listener, what your views is on homelessness figures, but we're sort of getting to the root of what is the situation for a lot of homeless people, not all, in that it is not just a room or a roof or a house, that it has to be in the right area often, and other services and supports have to be there as well. A caller says, we've taken in over 100,000 people into our country. Homeless figures in Ireland are currently at 16,000. This is not good enough. Homelessness figures are growing, not in the northwest, but growing across the country. You are quite right there. I'm not going to bombard you with this, but just want to make sure that everybody knows that we've got about an hour and a bit for you to get your ticket if you want to, and if you can afford it, of course, to enter our big draw. 20 grand in total. In fact, it's 25 grand, and I'll break it down for you. A €10,000 voucher for Foy's. They'll work with you, the team there, to help you reimagine your property. €10,000 will go an awful long way to bringing your house up to the place that you want it to be. That's that. Then there's 10 grand in cash. What do you want to do with that? Do you want to spend it on your house? That's up to you. You can go on holidays, buy a car, write down some of your mortgage, whatever. That is the draw for that's taking place on April 16th. But the reason time is of the essence is because we have 5 €1,000 draws. The first is this afternoon. Sorry, the first is this morning at around about 11:30. €1,000 in cash to give away. Another Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday and Friday. So the point being, if you want to be in every draw, you've got about an hour to buy your ticket. The website, highlandradio.com, is there for you. But we're also able to answer your telephone calls here and help you out. 07491 25,000. One of the team may have to ring you back, but we'll get you sorted and in the draw. One ticket is €15, or you can group with others if you wish and get them for a tenner. But now is the time to get your ticket if you want to be in every draw. And we'll get everyone in that wants to be in. Fingers crossed. Well, not fingers crossed. We will. I guarantee you that. All right. It is the 9 till noon show here on Highland Radio. It's the start of another Monday, and we hit the ground running, didn't we? Discussing those wildfires in the first hour, and then chatting to John about the reality of homelessness for some here in County Donegal and across the country. And we've got another packed 2 hours to come. So stay right where you are. 086 60 25,000. That's the WhatsApp and text number if you want to keep us busy during the news and the obituary notices.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union, now offering mortgages from €40,000 to €600,000 with no hidden fees or transaction charges. Letterkenny Credit Union, 9102127.
With Circle K Extra, save up to 3 cents per litre on fuel every time you fill up. Download the Circle K app today and start saving.
Do you suffer from high cholesterol, menopause symptoms, digestive issues, anxiety, aches and pains, or a lack of energy? The highly trained team at the Natural Way Letterkenny can provide advice on natural remedies for a number of individual health issues. The Natural Way also has its own brand of herbal treatments to help fight fatigue, relieve digestive discomfort, maintain a healthy immune system and alleviate common menopause symptoms. The Natural Way at Letterkenny Shopping Centre, your one-stop health shop.
At Fleming's, we take great pride in having provided quality steel and roofing to all our customers throughout Ireland since 1860.
Tell them about the doors, John.
OK, Mike. We also provide a full quality range of
doors, industrial doors, garage doors, roller doors, insulated doors.
Thanks for that, Mike.
No dramas, mate.
Fleming's, engineering solutions for 150 years. Call us now on 074 91 48 234.
Stop everything! iMotors is bringing you the biggest used car event of the year. From Thursday, April 10th to Saturday, April 12th. We've got over 250 quality used cars. Every brand, every engine type, and a deal with your name on it. Buy any car and spin the wheel. You're guaranteed to win €500 or €1,000 off. Plus, every car comes with up to 12 months warranty. 3 days only. Get down to iMotors and drive away happy.
iMotors, fearless generation.
Live, on air, online and on the Highland Radio app. This is Highland Radio News.
Good morning, it's 10 o'clock. Donal Kavanagh at the news desk. The fire service continues to battle a blaze at Barnesmore Gap. Gary Martin is Director of Emergency Services with Donegal County Council. He says once again there's a helicopter on site at Barnesmore this morning helping to attack the blaze. He says at present there are no homes in danger and farmers are on site moving animals where necessary. He says the fire took hold again overnight, but with the helicopter in situ they're hopeful the blaze will be brought under control by lunchtime. A helicopter is also in situ at Donegal on the Fannet Peninsula where a fire is being closely monitored by the council. Again, at this point, no risk to life or property has been identified. Well, a short time ago on the 9 till noon show, Gary Martin urged people not to light any fires or expose any flames outdoors. He said the vast majority of such fires start as a result of human actions, either accidental or otherwise.
Sometimes they'll be malicious, sometimes they won't. We don't know obviously at this stage as to what the cause of the fire in Barnesmore Gap was. I would appeal to anyone out there at the minute not to, under any circumstances, be lighting any fires or creating any source of ignition outside at the minute. The ground is very, very dry. There's a lot of fuel, that light brown grass. All the green grass hasn't grown through it yet. That acts just like tinder and it just goes up in a flash. The one thing that worked in our favour yesterday and this morning is that the winds were very, very light. If we'd had strong ones behind that, it would have been a completely different story, as some of your listeners will know from past wildfires we've had in Donegal.
A man's been released on bail after being arrested by police investigating a large wildfire near the Mourne Mountains in County Down. It's being treated as arson. A major incident was declared in Hilltown over the weekend. More than 100 firefighters at the scene at the height of the operation there. Meanwhile, more than 40 firefighters have been battling another wildfire in Dervock in County Antrim. It started yesterday afternoon. Donegal's TDs and senators are being urged to make a cross-party representation to have the national policy prohibiting building along the N56 reviewed. Ongoing efforts have been made at local level in response to the introduction of the policy, which means planning applications for developments along the route are being refused on safety grounds. However, there appears to be no plan as of yet to make any changes to the policy, despite concerns that it's worsening the housing crisis in West Donegal. The Cathaoirleach of Glenties Municipal District is Councillor John Hamish O'Farry. He says they have no other option but to seek national intervention.
We have discussed in council and at municipal districts for the last number of years and nothing seems to be progressing at all. So I think it's very important that our TDs, all parties, get together and stand as one voice regarding this policy to be changed on the N56 to deliver for the people in the area, to develop housing and even businesses on the N56. When you leave Glenties now, Killybegs right round to the mountaintop, there's very few petrol stations or shops or anything.
Stock markets in Asia have fallen sharply as traders react to tariffs imposed by Donald Trump. Japan's Nikkei index dived to nearly 8%. Australia's main index fell by more than 6%. The US president again defended his global levies at the weekend, telling reporters that sometimes you have to take medicine to fix something. Megan Morris from Business Insider Singapore says that's not the response that investors had been hoping for.
I think some investors were hoping for some comments this weekend that could indicate maybe an easing of tariffs or more room for negotiation. Trump offered nothing of the sort. We are seeing investors, I think, understand that we're in it for the long term.
Well, Taoiseach and Trade Minister Simon Harris is attending a meeting of other EU trade ministers in Luxembourg today. He says it's a time for calm heads.
We have to remind ourselves of where we want to get to here. And where we want to get to is a good trading relationship between the EU and the US. And we don't want to be in a tariff environment. But obviously, Europe has to show a willingness to act should the Trump administration refuse to come to the negotiating table in a real and substantive way.
And there are calls for a national database to track DNA in dog poo. Under current law, it's not illegal for your dog to poo in a public place, but it is illegal to fail to dispose of it. Dublin Councillor John Hurley says local authorities aren't able to police the problem because they don't have enough dog wardens on patrol. He believes a DNA tracking system could be a game changer.
We currently have a system where we have mandatory chipping of dogs. The only information that we record is the owner's name, the dog's breed, and a vague description of the dog's appearance. My suggestion is to add a DNA swab to that process. Everyone would know then that their dog's DNA is in a database, and if they leave poo behind anywhere, that poo could be sampled and a fine can turn up.
Weather forecast dry and sunny today with top temperatures of 14 to 17 degrees Celsius in a light east to southeast breeze. Tonight will stay dry and clear with patches of mist and fog. A touch of frost possible with lowest overnight temperatures 0 to 6 degrees Celsius in a light easterly or variable wind. And it's very much the same again as far as tomorrow is concerned. And that's Highland Radio News. We're back with headlines again at 11 o'clock. You can check all today's news on our website, highlandradio.com. But for now, from the news team, good morning. Obituary notice for this Monday morning, the 7th of April. The death has occurred of Jimmy Gillespie, Loch Ucker, Crawley. Funeral Mass this morning at 11 in St. Cronus Church, Dunlow, with interment afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. For family information and more details regarding wakes and funerals, please go to highlandradio.com.
Jenny loves spring. Sun on her face and a crisp, cold, specially selected kombucha from Aldi in her hand. It's picnic time. Uh-oh, wasps. Usually she'd freak out, but all the specially selected olives, relish and Gortnamona Irish goat's cheese have her feeling so at one with nature. She's thinking maybe wasps are just misunderstood. Now nothing can stop her enjoying picnic season. Not even that. Good food, good mood. From Aldi.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook and at highlandradio.com.
And a good morning to all of you who are watching the show. It's great to have you watching along and to read your comments and to see you there. Well, I can't see you, by the way. Don't worry if you're sitting in your pyjamas in front of the telly. It's just good to have you on board. And, of course, across Radio Land. Now, did you watch the Donegal game yesterday? Packed. McCool Park packed. Beautiful. Green grass, sunshine. What else do you want? And it was a great Donegal performance, I think, in my opinion, but it doesn't matter what I think. What do you think? We're going to be talking about it a little later on with Brendan Devaney. Did you watch the game? What did you think of it? Maybe you caught some of the other championship matches and were able to sort of make a comparison as to where you think we are at versus the rest. Let us know. Are you optimistic? Are you happy with what you've seen? Is there anything you would change? And all that kind of stuff. Effectively, really anything you want to say. So if you were in Ballybofey, what was your experience like? 086 60 25,000. Did you enjoy the match? Or give us a call on 07491 25,000. We love chatting to you about all manner of things, and there's absolutely no reason why you can't come on and talk sport with us as well, or on a Friday talk about entertainment or whatever you want to do. We want you engaged no matter what we're talking about. A caller asks, just wondering if tickets for the Donegal matches will continue to be sold through Ticketmaster, as I feel that small GAA clubs are a closed shop. The same members get priority when it comes to distribution of tickets. It's all a click system. Are you a member of a particular club and are having issues in that regard? You don't have to mention the club, but get back in touch with us. I'd just be interested if you're a member of a club and you miss out on tickets. As I say, we won't necessarily say the club on air. I just want to understand that issue a little bit better because we're right at the start of the championship and it's great to see the demand for tickets for a provincial opener. I watched Mayo Sligo after the Donegal game and, there was plenty of space there. So there's definitely a buzz in this county and there's going to be huge demand. So let's get to the bottom of any issues nice and early on. Thank you message. My friend and I were at the match yesterday. We had different seats in different sections. She wasn't feeling well, so I gave her my grandson's seat, which was beside me. My grandson was on my lap. The man beside us was an absolute gent and swapped seats with her so that she could sit beside me, and my grandson got a seat. He was a Donegal supporter and it was greatly appreciated. What a kind gesture, so thank you very much. Now, that gentleman, and he is a gentleman, probably hasn't even thought about that since. It was probably just a fleeting moment that he did. But just to let you know, if you are that fella, that you made a family's day there because they were able to all sit together and enjoy the game. So fair play to you. As I say, it might just come naturally to you to be so kind, but it's nice, isn't it, that you're hearing that it had an impact on other people. Hi, Greg. I was reading a post you put up on social media, and I thought the reason why... So, I put a post up on social media on Saturday morning. It was kind of born of frustration in that I'm in a position, and I'm delighted and blessed to be in a position that, people contact me on air, of course, but also off air. And what's happening with... It's almost an every weekend thing, and I'm not trying to start something or kick something up here, but I was just curious, and I asked off air, not on air, that every weekend, it seems, almost every weekend, I'm contacted by someone in dire straits in the ED at Letterkenny University Hospital. And in one case, I think it was a lady that was sitting there. She contacted me at 7:30 in the morning or something on Saturday, and I think she'd been sitting there with her teenage child since for 15 hours, and they hadn't even seen a doctor. And the reason they would contact me is that sometimes the HSE would put out information about particular issues and so on and so forth. But I did find myself becoming frustrated on behalf of people down there, in that there seems to be a thing at the weekend, particularly where people experience really long delays. So I was just curious, what's going on? Why is this? And then, obviously, I was inundated then with people who've had similar experiences, or indeed are sitting down in the ED scrolling through Facebook. But anyway, I just want to read this one as well. Hi, Greg. I was reading your post. I thought the reason why ED is so busy, a family member was sick from a Saturday evening. So on the Monday, we rang the doctors, and the only appointment was the following Monday. 7 days. I couldn't believe it. So we had to go to the ED. We had 12 hours wait, but we were seen and got the medication and home. But that's someone who's used the ED as the GP there effectively. And I was also contacted by people in the Ashone area, but also in the Letterkenny area, that are getting very appointments with their GP quite far into the future. So there's certainly a capacity issue in the GP that the GPs, I think, in certain areas. In other areas, you can get an appointment really quite quickly. But certainly in certain areas, and people are worried about their health, you can't sit at home, Stewie. You go to the ED. The majority of people that go to the ED do need to be there, but there's certainly... something of an issue there. A few other people then messaged in. Greg, in response to your message about the waiting times in Letterkenny Hospital, I got minor surgery on my wrist in Kingsbridge in Belfast on Friday the 28th of March. I was referred on from Letterkenny because the waiting times were too long. I woke up on Monday morning the 31st of March vomiting blood and went to my GP, who sent me straight to the ED. But between leaving her office and the car, I collapsed, and the surgery rang an ambulance. I waited 2.5 hours on that ambulance, but none arrived. My partner then drove me down. Unable to walk, I was sat in a wheelchair for 6 hours in an overpacked ED until a nurse seen I was in distress and bonked me up the queue. After getting anti-sickness jabs, fluids, etc., through the drip, I was told that I could stay and sit in the wheelchair or go home because there's no beds available in the whole hospital. Nurses are amazing. The staff are amazing. Let me just reiterate that. The nurses and staff, by all accounts, are amazing. But the caller says the simple truth is the hospital is not big enough or not well enough staffed for such a vast area. People left to sit up to 30 hours or more in a wheelchair while they wait on a bed. Ridiculous. Even witnessed patients laying on the floor because no seats or wheelchairs available. And another thing too is that a lot of people are leaving. I'll get those figures for you, but a lot of people are leaving. Right, let's a quick chat to Paddy before we go to the break, and we'll get the bingo numbers. Paddy, you were at the match yesterday, packed for a provincial opener. It's great to see, but...
Yes, Greg, it was unreal. Great atmosphere and all, and but I think they oversold it because they said the official was 10 to 15,000 something, but I would add on another 5 to that easily, because it was just wedged, like, you know what I mean? Like, there were no pleasure for young ones anyway in the terrace anyway to watch. You couldn't, my wee fella, he couldn't see a thing, like, you know what I mean? There's just too many in, like, you know.
Yeah,
But,
as the county ground, do you think it needs an upgrade?
Well, I've been saying that for years, because you're going to Healy Park and Celtic Park and all these places, and they're totally, you know, way ahead of what we have there and Ballybofey, like, you know, and it's even, you know, the stand itself, you know, it needs upgraded. The whole, like, there's a lot of money to be spent on it, as far as I'm concerned, anyway, you know.
All right, okay.
Because, like, Donegal have had a lot of successes down through the years, and, like, it hasn't really shown. It's shown on the team, but it's not shown on our main county ground, you know.
What did you think of the game? How do you call it?
I just felt Donegal kind of lifted it when they needed to. You know, they were playing good football, and then when Derry got back into it, they Donegal just stepped it up a gear and scored what they needed to. Like, I thought it was great game management in the game yesterday by Donegal. Like, you know, they just seemed to lift it when they needed to and made some changes too to freshen it up. And now they're going great now, and they've a lot stronger squad this year, I think, as well. Like, you know, the serious men coming off the bench and stuff there, you know. So
yeah, I think the point, I noticed that myself. The best teams have gears, don't they? And as soon as sort of Derry seemed to be getting back into the game, there's this burst of ability to sort of say, right, hold on, we've another gear here, we can elevate our game, and that hasn't always been present, but it's the way it sort of happens on the pitch, and every player sort of knows exactly what they have to do and when.
They're so well tuned, like, and you see that they have a lot of leaders all over the field, not just even, like, I must say, young Finbar Rorty making his county debut yesterday was unbelievable. Like, in my eyes, he was man of the match for a 19-year-old to perform the way he did. I thought it was unbelievable. You know, like, it's a big stage coming into your first county championship game, and, you know, there was no nerves. Like, he's playing like a man that's played county senior for 5 or 6 years. You know what I mean?
What a day
so
for him, the club, and the family. Darragh O'Bill, you talked about sort of gears and that burst of sort of energy. A lot of it went through him. He two pointers and a goal, could have had 2 goals. I mean, these are players that, like, there's one after the other that can step up and do big things in big games.
I'm massive, and even the old man himself, Big Murphy, like, you know, you could see him when times were getting tough. He just seems to rally the troops. You know, he goes not bust, like, and he's still, like, I couldn't get over the bust of speed he had yesterday. You know, getting past players and everything. You know, it was just great to see, because Murphy's like, he's a legend.
Yeah, I think I'm losing you, Paddy. Am I? All right, we'll leave it there. Thanks so much for that, Paddy. And I was going to say to Paddy there, actually, too, you'd wonder what a goalie would have to do to get man of the match as well. And that's not a criticism or a dig, because Sean Patton, you know, I think especially in this new game, with these new rules, obviously making big interventions, big saves, but also, you know, the distribution of the ball. We're going to talk much more about that with Brendan Devaney a little later on, but certainly want more of your views. 086 60 25,000. We can talk sport too. I would love that, in fact. The Donegal match was brilliant yesterday. What a buzz. Great for Donegal and for Ballybofey, says a listener. I asked when they were next playing, and they said Easter Sunday. Easter Sunday is like Christmas Day. People want to spend time with their families. People will be at home having dinner with their families. I know that the match was on Easter Sunday last year and not many attended. The GEA should think about this. No matches should be played on Easter Sunday. What do others think? Well, for some, and some of the families I know, they will love to pile into the car and head off and spend Easter Sunday together watching the match. I suppose it depends what your traditions are in your own particular home. But I think for many families who are lucky enough to get tickets, what a better way to spend your Easter Sunday. Do you know what I mean? So it's not going to suit everyone, but I think the majority of people might see it as a sort of a lovely thing to do together, especially you probably have the Monday off as well. But maybe if you have a tradition of a roast in mid-afternoon or something, it might be disadvantageous or whatever. But anyway, what do you think? Easter Sunday, you happy enough for Donegal to be playing on Easter Sunday, or do you think it should be on a different day? Great to have this complaint, though, because it means we're through to the next round, so to speak. And the caller also adds that tickets yesterday should only have been 15, not 20. Yeah, I think, I mean, it's a championship match, though. It's the cream of the crop. Resplendent weather. Not that you're paying for the weather, atmosphere. I don't know. I'm just saying 20 quid. You wouldn't get 2 pints for that in Temple Bar now. And to get a full match, I don't know. Anyway, everyone can have their own views on that. I'm not saying what mine are. I'm just putting it out there. Okay, it is the 9 till noon show. We have 1 hour, actually probably less than 1 hour for you to get your tickets for the €20,000 draw, €10,000 to spend in foys, €10,000 cash, and we're giving away £1,000 this morning. And Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday and Friday. Get onto our website if you want to be in every draw, highlandradio.com, buy your tickets there, or give us a call, 07491 25,000. But you've less than an hour to make sure that you're in all the draws.
It's time for Vision Ireland Bingo on Highland Radio.
It's Monday, the 7th of April. You're playing for the daily prize of €600 on the green sheet. The reference number is S11. It's game number 15. The numbers are 33, 62, 77, 63, 78, 74, 58, 81, 9, and finally 46. Phone your claim to 910-4833 before midnight, leaving your name, contact number and the name of the shop where you purchased your book, and we'll call you back the next working day. Get all your Vision Ireland bingo information at highlandradio.com.
Do you know what's gas? That you're using oil for your home heating right now. Well, there's nothing gas about oil, really. But what is gas is how easy it is to switch from oil to Flowgas LPG. And what's even more gas is that you get a free boiler and a 2-year fixed price when you switch. So, visit flowgas.ie to switch to LPG today. Flowgas. Energy for everyone. Terms, conditions apply. See flowgas.ie for more.
Welcome to Cherrymore Kitchens and Bedrooms in Donegal Town. Discover affordable luxury with their bespoke fitted furniture solutions. With almost 30 years of serving Ireland and the Northwest, we're your trusted experts. Visit us Monday to Friday 9am until 5pm and on Saturdays from 9am until 3:30pm. Book your free consultation today on 074 9725 or visit cherrymore.ie. Cherrymore Kitchens and Bedrooms, where affordability and luxury combine.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, offering low-rate car loans with fast approval. Apply online at letterkennycu.ie or in office today.
Okay, so as you would know, fire services and helicopters, in fact, are dealing with fires at the moment in Barnesmore Gap, and we heard from Gary Martin. That situation seems to be under control. A second fire emerged last evening in the Knockalla area. Caroline, you can sort of see what's going on there. We don't really know the extent of it just yet. What's happening on the ground there? What can you see?
Oh, well, it's nearly all out now.
Brilliant.
The biggest one started near the Blue Corner.
Mm-hmm.
That's the second lay-by up Knockalla. And it was working over towards your right-hand side. And just up a good bit behind the houses there. But I know that's completely out now. And there's 1, 2, 3, about four wee bits now left to put out. And the helicopter's doing a fantastic job.
What's it like to see that? Because I haven't seen the helicopter in action.
It's very, very unusual. I've only seen it ever on TV. I've never seen it in real life. And you don't waken up on a Monday morning expecting to see a helicopter putting out a fire.
That's right, yeah. It's amazing, isn't it? And it's great support for the guys and girls on the ground as well.
Oh, it is. I can just see some of the fire brigade. I take it to be the fire brigade boys on the very top on the very edge of Knockalla Mountain. Mind you, they don't look very big, but they're there. You can see them.
So get your binoculars out, Caroline. But you're confident.
Oh no, I can see them without the binoculars. Right, don't worry.
So you're confident then they've done great work. They have it under control. No threat to property or anything now, and it's really interesting.
No threat to nothing at all.
All right,
they're extinguishing 2 wee bits of fire now to the left-hand side of the Blue Corner going up It's up near the top lay-by, and there are 2 wee bits at the very top. And I don't know now what's on the other side of Nogalla. There seems to be smoke coming over from there. But no, they have it well extinguished now, and fair play to them now. Because I was late in last night and I seen the fire brigade going down about 11:30, but there were nothing they could do for it was too far in.
Yeah.
And there was nothing they could do. But no, fair play to them. They got the boys on the scene fairly quick today, and there's no... I mean, the Nogalla doesn't seem to be too badly damaged the other years.
Right, brilliant. Okay. Our reporter on the ground in Nogalla, Caroline, thanks very much indeed for that. Take care of yourself.
You too, Greg, and thanks a million.
All right, Caroline. No, thank you. And again, it's only down to sort of, expertise in training these guys and girls, although I'm not sure there is a female firefighter in this county. I think when they were recruiting before, there was talk that there wasn't. But anyway, it doesn't... if you're good enough, it doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman, or if you apply. Sorry, you know what I mean. It'll be one way or other. But anyway, I digress. All I'm saying is they're amazing. They're doing fantastic stuff, and they're just our community going out there, answering the pager, and away they go. We are on the road on Friday, which is very exciting because we're going to Gweedore, and I like Gweedore, and I like the west of the county, and we're going to Irish Pressings. Irish Pressings, if you did not know, and hopefully at the end of Friday you'll know much more, they're a market leader in the design and manufacturing of tooling, metal stampings, welded assemblies, project welding, precision machining and prototyping services. They're celebrating 20 years in business, and to help them celebrate, we're going to be there live. So it's going to be much of the same programme. We're going to have the Friday panel and stuff, and we'll have some people from the local area calling in to us, but also we'll be chatting to the team behind Irish Pressings to find out the work that they do, which I'm looking forward to actually, because metal stampings, projection welding, precision machining, I have a fair idea what that stuff is, but I'd love to know what a really successful company in Gweedore is actually doing. So we're heading to Irish Pressings on Friday. So as a listener, it's going to be much the same, but also with some added zest and information. So we're heading to Gweedore on Friday. Hopefully the weather is still good. The indications are that it will be. Hi, Greg. I was in the ED at the weekend. I was in and out in an hour and a half. The staff couldn't do enough for us, they deserve so much more thanks and pay for what they do. Hear, hear. And I'm delighted that you had a positive experience. And it's really important, actually, and maybe I'll clarify this right now. When we go into hospital, often we're under extreme stress and anxiety or worry. And thankfully, 9 times out of 10, you go in there, you're patched up and away you go. And you have a reasonable experience. Or even if you had a long wait, I've had it before. I've been down there with one of the sons and they twisted a knee or ankle or something. And we sat there for 9-10 hours. I think it was 10 hours in one occasion. And then we got called, and then he went in and he had his knee checked and everything was grand, a bit of a strain. Keep your weight on it, everything will be grand. And on the way home, I didn't care that I was in there for 9 or 10 hours. I was happy out. I was like, right, son, you're okay now. You don't have to wear a cast. Happy. I was full of joy and thanks to the staff. And the weight became sort of irrelevant to me. Or people go in there like this listener and they're in and out in a couple of hours. And that's great too. And fair play, that's a sign that the hospital at times is working. But that is not everyone's experience. And I don't want to amplify or over-amplify, the experience of some, but we can't ignore it either. And if you get people calling you in distress 24 hours in with 2 parents in their 80s, for an example, we can't ignore that as well. But it's as much to support staff who are doing amazing work to have better wages potentially, but certainly more colleagues to help them do the work that they have to do. It's not against the staff. It's not even against the hospital. Look at the management down there, I'm sure are applying left, right and centre for additional resources and making those arguments as well. When you're in a position of management, you're always going to face a certain level of criticism. But the politicians seem content with the management down there, because I've asked on a number of occasions, are you concerned about the management and whether they're Fianna Fáil, Fine Gael, Sinn Féin? Generally speaking, they're of the view that it seems, is not an issue. So I have to trust that, don't I? But we do have to highlight the problems, but it doesn't take away from the fact that staff are working as hard and great as they can, and that a lot of people go in there and are sent home in much better condition. I should mention that more often, but that's the balance that we're trying to strike. The issue with the ED at the weekend is the lack of doctors on duty. The ED is waiting on doctors from the general hospital wards to come over to cover ED. This really needs to change. Right, okay. I'll take a break. Our next guest's going to be joining us very shortly, and I will get to the comments that you've been sending in so far.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook, and at highlandradio.com.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Simplify your debts with a debt consolidation loan from Letterkenny Credit Union. Call us on 074 910 2126 or apply online via our app or in office today.
This year, the government will launch a new national policy to reduce suicide. Your views will play a key role in shaping this new policy. As part of a public consultation, the Department of Health is inviting members of the public and relevant groups and organisations to share their opinions on suicide reduction in Ireland, particularly those with lived or living experience of suicide. Every life lost to suicide is one too many. You can help by sharing your views at gov.ie/suicide reduction. Brought to you by the Government of Ireland.
Who's watching your home while you're asleep, at work, or on holiday? With the Sheridan Security Alarm System, you can be assured of round-the-clock monitoring. Our central monitoring station is on duty 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, monitoring homes and businesses in the northwest for intruder, fire, panic, and medical signals, giving you the peace of mind you deserve. Sheridan Security Systems, Bonagee, Letterkenny, protecting what you value most. Call us for a free quotation on 9126 6025.
Every decision, moment, and experience has shaped who I am today. I still live at home with the support of a wonderful team who provide home care with respect for who I am, empowering me to live my life my way.
Your life, your way. Visit dovida.ie.
Tesco Club Card gives you the power to more, helping you celebrate Easter. Gather the family around the dinner table with our finest certified Irish Angus Chateaubriand, now half price. Have a cracking time with selected Easter eggs like Kit Kat Chunky, Smarties and Milky Bar, 5 for €5. And get drinks for everyone with Diet Coke and Coke Zero 12 packs, €8 each. Get more from your shop with your Tesco Club Card or app. Shop in store or online. Tesco. Every little helps. Available in most stores. Prices vary and express. DRS applies. Quotas may apply.
Okay, we're joined on the programme now by Jessica Burke, the fertility detective. Good morning, Jessica. Can you hear me okay? Hello, Jessica. Oh, no, Jessica can't hear me. I'll come back to Jessica in a moment. I'll bring her back in. There might be a slight issue there, which will be resolved. Don't worry about that. Just to remind you, 086 60 25,000. Oops, 086 60 25,000. That's the WhatsApp and text number. Or give us a call on 074 91 25,000. The caller says, I have just come through Ballabufey and there were two people on the crossing of the Glenfin Street junction when a car coming from Donegal town direction drove on through the crossing. The driver didn't even attempt to slow down and was driving too fast. Thankfully, the ladies on the crossing seemed to be aware of what's going on at that crossing and were expecting the driver not to stop. Could be a different story if it was strangers in town. Jessica, can you hear me okay? No, unfortunately, Jessica can't. No, that's okay, Jessica. I will try and resolve that situation in a moment. Right, okay. Jessica, any luck now? No, that's my problem. Okay, I'll come back to you in a moment. Morning, Greg. Was listening to John and I hope he gets the help he needs. That person that messaged about he should get a job really hasn't a clue. I've worked with men and that ended up homeless that were in full-time work and remained in full-time work but were still homeless. Well, it's just important, you see, that we are... like those comments are useful because it allows us to sort of address that what someone might be saying and what someone might be feeling. So to be honest with you, I think it's well worth reading those comments out because it sort of allows us an opportunity to address them. Hi, Greg. I was wondering if you could find out why Donegal County Council no longer open the dog pound in Letterkenny on a Saturday. It's been open every Saturday since 1986, but no longer. It was handy for people who work all week. Right, don't know what the story is there. Read the Netflix levy. Absolutely ridiculous. All this is going to do is reinvigorate piracy. Piracy slowed because of streaming services, but now they're jumping up their prices without the levy. An additional levy helps no one apart from likely RTE getting to keep more licence money and the bailout, while independent media gets a tuppence from the levy. If everyone in Ireland had a Netflix account, the levy would only generate 50 million. Jessica, can you hear me? No, Jessica can't hear me. Caroline, you might just contact Jessica there and see what the story is in relation to that. As part of our home makeover, we have that 20k to give away, and I must say that time is running out for you to be in all of the draws. If you want to be in with a chance of winning €20,000, €10,000 to spend at Foy's, and an additional €10,000 in cash, plus €1,000 today or Tuesday or Wednesday or Thursday or Friday, then you have about 25 minutes to get your tickets. 749125,000 is the telephone number, or in fact we can sort you out on our website highlandradio.com. Rightio, more of your comments here. The way the EU treated Ireland during the 2008 economic crisis was deeply unfair. Ireland was forced into a bailout, not entirely for its own mistakes, but to protect the wider European banking system, especially German and French bondholders. Irish taxpayers were left to shoulder the burden of 84 billion, much of which went to cover private banking debts and should never have been nationalised. Meanwhile, there was little sympathy or flexibility shown from EU institutions or core member states like Germany. In contrast, the United States has consistently shown goodwill towards Ireland through investment, support for peace in Northern Ireland and strong diplomatic ties. The bailout may have saved the euro, but it came at a huge cost to Irish sovereignty and social services, with the public paying for the mistakes of reckless international financiers. All right, thanks very much for that. Tony, good morning to you. Thanks so much for joining us.
Morning, Greg. Yes.
We're back to that thorny issue of public services. We're not even in the hot spot for the tourist season yet.
Exactly. Myself and my wife were in Rathmullen yesterday. A beautiful day, big crowds about, ice cream van there, the fish and chip van, the coffee van. Public toilets closed with a sign up on the door, closed due to vandalism, and will be for the foreseeable future.
Wow, an official sign-up, Tony, yeah?
It's a sign, typed a big, well-typed sign on the door. So,
wow, okay.
It's just not good enough. I don't know who the county council will be responsible or who or what, but, with women there, mothers with children, and younger people and older people, if you wanted to go to the toilet, what do? There's no place you can go unless you get a corner or a bush or somewhere out of the way. It's terrible.
And there's, of course, pregnant women. There are people with digestive issues, prostate issues, whatever it might be. The toilet's not just a choice for lots of people.
No, and then there's a public bar or a lounge there and a couple other places with signs up, for customers only, which is understandable, but it's not good enough this day and age. That vandalism and cameras and whatnot now should be able to pick out who the vandals are. That's the answer to it. I would imagine, but it's a beautiful place, as I say, and a lot of people go to it when the weather's like it is now. And to think that if you were going there, you'd really want to bring your nappy with you, or a bucket or a bottle or something that you can like, it's easier for men, Sean, or Greg, as you can get a corner somewhere, but women, and girls and children, it's a different story,
Yeah, and I mean, it's going to be an ongoing problem, isn't it? Theoretically, if these services close down because of vandalism, what do we do?
Well, as I say, like, the easy answer to vandalism now is cameras, and you can see who the vandals are, and that's the answer to it, in my opinion. But I don't see why they should just close them down indefinitely. People, it's going to stop people going to that, to that beautiful place, that Rathmullen. It's a beautiful place. And then we went on out then by Donegal out as far as Thanet Heads for a drive, and the scenery. It's just unimaginable what the scenery when the weather's like this.
It's beautiful.
If you were way out abroad and you were looking at this kind of scenery that you have here, you'd be you'd be coming back with photographs and whatnot, and here's on our doorstep. And it's just a beautiful place, Donegal.
Okay, right.
Well,
thank you very much for that. I do appreciate your time. All right, thanks so very much
Greg,
indeed.
thank you.
All right, take care. Bye bye. That's Tony there. That's his situation in Rathmullen. Right, okay. Sorry, Jessica, I don't know if it's your end or our end, but I didn't want to move on without discussing this issue. Jessica Burke is the fertility detective and has started a petition calling for the government to provide paid leave for mothers who suffer miscarriages before 24 weeks. Thanks so much, Jessica, for your time.
Thank you for having me on, Greg.
Right, so obviously, Jessica, this is an issue. How widespread and sort of, what has been your experience in terms of interacting with people that makes you certain that such a measure is required?
Well, I'd be approaching it from a number of different angles, both from personal experience, almost losing our daughter to threatened miscarriage about 18 years ago, but also I've been working in the field of fertility for the past 20 years. And this isn't just coming from, again, my side of things, it's also coming from the government. We actually had a report commissioned a year ago in January 24 looking at pregnancy loss in the workplace. And it was felt at that time that the introduction of policies to provide time off work that was paid leave following pregnancy loss before 24 weeks should be introduced. Yet no action has been taken, and that's also following in the aftermath of Labour Party's bill that they published back in 2021, which was also asking for paid leave for both miscarriage and also for fertility treatment.
What is the current situation if a woman loses her pregnancy before 24 weeks, Jessica?
So it's really quite stark, and I think it's important to give some context just for anybody who might not be familiar, who hasn't experienced this themselves or know somebody who's gone through it. It's anything up to 24 weeks. So I think sometimes people think that it is purely a late period, that's all that's going on. And even at that can still be devastating if someone had conceived, let's say, after IVF and then suffered an early pregnancy loss, which manifested as technically a late period. But it's anything up to 24 weeks. So that means, think of somebody at 20 weeks pregnant. They have a bump. They are, potentially attending for the anatomy scan. And if someone goes through a loss at that stage, they are not entitled to the 6 months paid leave that would be given to someone who had their baby at 24 weeks. And that's simply because of, and I understand there has to be a medical cutoff used, but that's simply because at 24 weeks, a baby that is born at that point is likely to have a chance of survival.
But that doesn't take into consideration the physical consequences, but particularly the emotional. And we're all different, okay? For some people, dependent on their physical state, maybe they want to get back to work or what have you. But for others, it is a bereavement. It's a devastating loss, whether they conceived with IVF or otherwise, and. It does. The legislation doesn't take account of that at all, and obviously this disproportionately affects women.
Absolutely, and indeed their partners. I received a number of messages over my page on Instagram from women describing their horrendous experiences, and to just expand on that, what it actually encompasses. It's not simply, like I said, what someone might imagine, a spontaneous pregnancy loss at home with just a late period. If someone goes through a spontaneous loss at home, it can be quite graphic, painful, and traumatizing what they may experience. And the idea that they would have to go back into work a couple of days later is nonsensical, frankly, and inhumane. Not to mention if someone then required surgery, such as D&C or ERPC, in order to remove the embryonic tissues. Again, that requires recovery from that. And not to mention the enormous emotional impact. As you said, with regard to grieving, I've seen people who still haven't recovered, decades later. I receive messages over Instagram sometimes from women who are in their 50s and are still looking for answers for what happened to them. So the idea that this is something that is, just because it's common, that we just need to move on and get on with things is crazy. And, considering that in the UK, just over a month ago, they managed to introduce the mandated paid leave, where each partner gets 2 weeks paid leave. I do not see why this has not happened here yet.
And, you know, in terms of numbers and the impact on the state's finances, or, you know, the working environment, you know what I mean? I don't know what the business leaders or the representative groups have a say on this, but we aren't talking tens of thousands of people here. We're talking about a group of people that go through a very difficult situation. Do we know what the likes of your ISMEs and your IBEX and others, I mean, are they backing this, or are they opposing it, or do we yet know what their views are on this? Because I presume they have a say in this, even though really perhaps maybe they shouldn't. I don't know.
I would have to look into that, as I don't have those figures, but certainly I know from people who've been communicating with me that for some people, their company chose to implement a fertility policy and policy for miscarriage and pregnancy, which is great if you happen to work for a company that does that. But if you don't, then, you know, you're left open. And I think it's just a matter of it being officially mandated by the government. It should be standardized throughout the entire industry.
And you know, Jessica, we have to throw the gender thing into it, I think, because if there were more women in positions of authority across business and in government, you know, legislators, they had greater numbers. I just don't feel this is a conversation we need to be having, because there'd be that understanding of the realities of. I'm not saying fellas can't understand it, don't get me wrong, but you know where I'm coming from.
Yeah, I do completely. And I know that, you know, Maria Sherlock and those at Labour have been trying their best, and that's why they'd introduced the bill back in March of 2021. But here we are 4 years later, and it just keeps getting kicked down the path, and it just can't anymore. I'm just determined that if we can get enough signatures in this petition so the government can see that people do care about this issue, that it's widespread impact, because again, it's not just about the woman who's going through it. Like I said, their partner, who, you know, one woman messaged me and said that it was just insulting, frankly, that her husband had to take annual leave in order to support her with what she was going through. And it's just unacceptable. So we definitely need to see this changed. Yeah, for sure. And it doesn't all happen in a day either. There can be, you know, the DNC can be a few days later or whatever it might be, you know. Just I'll explain that. So that takes time, definitely. So if you have I beg your pardon?
I was going to say, in other words, it's not like we're in a situation where you could either the woman or the partner in and out of work for, you know what I mean? There's a process and time. It takes time.
It takes enormous amounts of time. So if somebody suffers a miscarriage, so typically what may happen, it's either one of two. They would experience perhaps a bleed or some symptoms, and it begins to happen at home. But that does not mean that they don't still go in for a scan. They still have to take time off work to go for a scan to confirm, is it just a threatened miscarriage, like what I went through when there's a bleed but you don't lose the pregnancy, or is it actually that a miscarriage is imminent? And in that case, you still have to go back again a week later for another scan in order to confirm what's happening, such as that the embryonic heartbeat has stopped, because they can't give medication or suggest surgery unless they have confirmed that to be the case. So it can actually drag on for numerous weeks. It is not a slow process.
Yeah. Okay. All right, Jessica, where can people sign this petition if they move to do so?
If they go to www.change.org/paid miscarriage leave, I'd be very grateful if they could lend their support.
All right, Jessica, thank you for your time. Jessica Burke there, talking on that issue. Maybe it's something that you want to have your say on. 086 60 25,000.
The 9 till Noon Show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union. Digital loans now available. Apply online or via our app today and get your loan transferred directly to your current account.
Invite the family over for the perfect Easter dinner with Lidl. Our award-winning Board B approved 2.5 kilo deluxe half horseshoe ham, just $19.99. Cured to perfection and produced in the heart of Tipperary. Proudly supporting Irish suppliers. Shop without compromise. Go full Lidl this Easter.
At DoorTech Garage Door Systems in Kilmacrennan, we specialise in the supply and installation of all types of industrial roller doors and garage doors. Whether for your home, business or farm, our doors offer the security you need. For premium quality doors, call DoorTech on 91 39941 or visit doortech.ie.
Hello, I'm David Foley, medical herbalist. Are you suffering with stress, anxiety, insomnia? Then ask for Irish Botanica Peace and Calm, a traditional herbal remedy. Irish Botanica Peace and Calm has a naturally relaxing effect, ideal for stress, insomnia, jet lag, and pre-exam anxiety. Call us a natural way, Letterkenny Shopping Centre for more information.
A public interest message from Donegal County Council. Put a spring in your step this April with the Civic Dollars project, which promotes healthy communities through increased time spent in our outdoor local recreation spaces across Donegal. Download the Civic Dollars app. Locate your nearest earn zone on the map and hit go. After 30 minutes, you'll have earned a Civic Dollar. The app measures time spent in a designated earn zone and does not record steps or distance to ensure the project is inclusive of participants with mobility or health issues. For more information and to see a list of over 80 earn zone sites, see donegalcoco.ie/community/healthy Donegal. Donegal County Council, supporting healthy communities.
Highland Radio weather updates with McElhenney's. Discover trending new styles each week in fashion, footwear, accessories, homeware and more. Visit us to explore the latest arrivals in store or shop online at mcelhenneys.com today.
Mist and fog patches have cleared now. It's going to be a dry and sunny day. Highest temperatures of 16 or 17 degrees. Johnny's with me now. Johnny, you were listening to John a little earlier on. He's in the show and he recognises the issues he's had in his life. It started with addiction when the head shops were about. He's mostly got his life back in order. He's addiction free. But living in Inishowen with homeless vouchers, so to speak. Those vouchers are now being taken off him and he's been offered a place down in Bundoran. He's concerned that he'll lose his support network and could end up going down a very negative route again. Listening on, what's your view? What's your comment?
Morning, Greg. How's it going?
Good, thanks.
It's just, I kind of witnessed it firsthand, working the construction sector. And there was one of the lads on site now. I just noticed them changing appearance and everything else. And I approached him one day and asked him, was everything all right? And he ended up homeless because I was in full-time work. He was paying his rent, but his landlord wasn't paying the mortgage. So he ended up evicted from his apartment. And now he was separated from his partner. And he used to get his son at the weekends. So all his wages would have went on booking a hotel for the Friday, Saturday, Sunday night so he could have his young fella. And then he went back to living in a tent on the Monday night. But he was going down a slippery slope because he turned to alcohol. So me and a couple other lads at work with him decided that we put him up in accommodation with us. We're all working away from home.
Yeah.
But he was from the area. So during the week, he used to stay with us, and on the weekends, he'd go stay in his hotel. But he just couldn't he was spending all his wages on a hotel because he didn't want to not see his son, which was understandable.
Mm.
But he was going down the slippery slope of alcohol because he couldn't see another way out of it. His mental health was going through the roof. But finally, a few years later, he got himself sorted. We done a whip around on site. We raised enough money for a deposit for him for an apartment, and he took it. He was very embarrassed about us helping him.
Yeah.
He didn't ask for the help, but we just took it upon ourselves. He's a qualified carpenter. He was a brilliant worker, but just his circumstances changed, and he ended up living in a tent.
That could happen to
I
any
never
of us,
told
John.
anybody.
I mean, it could happen to any of us, couldn't
Yeah.
it? I mean, he's lucky that he had
That's
such a
fine.
group of lads around him that had kept an eye on him. Firstly, spotted that there was a change on him, but also was so generous to him. But that could happen to any of us, really.
Could happen to anybody, yeah. Definitely could. Like, we're all, as the saying goes, we're all on a week's wage away from being homeless.
When he moved in with you, exactly. When he moved in with you, did that help him control his drinking a bit, Johnny? That there was other lads about, and you were able maybe to drop the odd hint here or there, or.
Well, when he moved in with us, he didn't drink at all.
Oh, brilliant!
But he was very embarrassed about us helping him.
Yeah.
He was so embarrassed, but Now, he would ring me regularly. He still thanks me to this day for doing what I've done for him.
Brilliant. Brilliant. It just goes to show.
Because his mother was elderly.
Yeah.
His mother was elderly. She lived on her own. There was no room for him and his son, and he didn't want to be a burden on her. So if I hadn't approached him that morning, I was opening up the site and I seen him, and he got very, very scruffy looking. And there was a hint of smell of alcohol off him, and I approached him, and he just broke down.
Wow.
He just completely broke down. So then we decided, right.
He's a good lad, obviously, by the sounds of things, because he thought he would be a burden on his mom, and he was spending all his money to see his son, and then he was giving up on himself effectively Monday through Friday by the sounds of things.
He was definitely giving up on himself,
All right. And he's doing well now.
So he's doing brilliant now, thank God.
Well done. All right, Johnny, well done to you and the rest of the lads. That's what we need, more of that. And it goes on an awful lot, but it's actually really interesting to speak to someone with who can give us that insight. And as you say, the person says, get a job. We never know when this could be, or see whether you're working or not working. Johnny, thanks so much. Appreciate it. Fair play to you and the lads. Right, okay. Let me see. Lines are closing in 6 minutes, by the way, for all draws. If you want to be in the 10,000 FOIs spend, the 10,000 cash, and the 1,000 a day for the next 5 days, you have 5 minutes. We'll take your number if we can't do it straight away, but we'll get your ticket before the first draw. I guarantee you that. Every ticket, mark my words, every ticket, it's a physical ticket, goes into the draw drum. It's rotated, they're all circulated, and then the hand goes in. So it could be the ticket sold just before 11. We had that actually in the last draw, I believe. A lady had just bought the ticket, I think, just in the deadline like this here, and ended up winning big. So that's great. And it's all about giving away, because we had a big jackpot winner on the bingo last Thursday too, which is fantastic. Okay. Excuse me. Your 5-minute warning if you want to be in all draws. Hi, Greg. Shuddering to think back to the awful fires we had in the Rosses in 2019. We were never so glad to see the helicopter coming. Thinking of the people terrified of losing their homes, the devastation to the wildlife. I hope anyone out burning in this weather should be arrested, charged and severely punished. That comes in from Kate. Kate, and you know, I would say 2019, and I remember it well. And there was loads of lessons to be learned from that. And I wonder, did we learn from those lessons? I think there was there not calls at that time or since that we should have some sort of training or some sort of an organisation in the community, because what was happening is everyone became a firefighter in certain areas, and we're out. And thankfully, we escaped without death or serious injury. But I believe there was calls at that time to say what lessons can be learned, and is there a way to organise a community response when things like this happen? I think my memory is correct in relation to that. I'm not 100% sure. But anyway, did we learn those lessons, Kate? I wonder. I was sent to the Sligo ED over the weekend. There was only myself and 2 others in the ED on arrival. I was seen right away, and over the course of 4 hours was attended to. Something is not right in Letterkenny University Hospital. I was also contacted by someone who had a really long waiting out in McGelvin as well. So no one's suggesting it is unique to Letterkenny. The Swallows have arrived. This is the earliest date I've seen them. Usually it's later in the month. I hope it predicts a long, hot summer. Fingers crossed, but we've seen the ramifications of that. Do you remember, was it 2020 that we had the great April? I'm not sure if it was warmer or colder in April, but it was sunshine all April. What was the summer like after that? Did that mean we ended up having a nice summer, or did the weather go to pot? I do remember April being great because it was, for lots of reasons, obviously lockdown, but also it was a great month for us because we got to spend so much time with my dad because he was over at mine the whole time, and I think we ate out most afternoons in the backyard, by the way, in the patio. It was lovely memories that April of being able to spend so much time with my father before he passed away. But that was my memories. But I can't remember what happened in the following summer. Maybe it means that we're going to have a good summer. I don't know. Okay, heading towards news at 11.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, with monster loans available up to €60,000 for all occasions. Visit letterkennycu.ie.
All you need to make your house a home at Patterson's The Hall Lifford. From garden furniture to kitchens, sofas and dining sets, all under one roof. Need a new mattress? Why not visit our sleep centre on the first floor? With a large range of quality beds and mattresses in stock and ready for collection or delivery. Relax in our coffee shop serving hot lunches daily. Open Monday to Saturday, 9 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. Patterson's Kitchens and Interiors, the Halliford.
This spring, give your home an instant glow-up with Hillary's. Right now in our spring sale, save up to 40% off hundreds of made-to-measure styles. But wait, there's more. For a limited time only, get an extra 10% off everything. Blinds, curtains, shutters, even products already in the sale. Hurry, this flash event ends 17th of April. And remember, with Hillary's, measuring and fitting is always included. Book your free home appointment now at hillary's.ie. Hillary's, transforming homes across Ireland for over 40 years. Conditions apply.
Do you need a UK address? Save hundreds of euros on custom charges shopping online with Space Hub Dairy. We provide a full virtual office address mailbox service for all your business and personal use. Save your business hundreds, possibly thousands, on custom charges with Space Hub Dairy. Call 048 7187 8077 for more details.
Back to the pitch with Brian McCormick Sports. Football boots for all ages. Adidas Copa Pure Pro in real soft leather. It's a must try on. Adidas Predator Pro in soft ground. The perfect boot for extra grip on pitch. Boots for kids in Velcro or lace with all your training essentials, gum shields, shorts and compression tops. Look the part, play the part. In store and online. Click on bmcsports.ie.
Has your couch seen better days? Does your wallpaper have more history than a museum? Well, it's time for a makeover. Highland Radio and Foy's are giving you the chance to win €10,000 to transform your home, plus €10,000 in cash. And just to make things even better, we're giving away €1,000 every day from the 7th to the 11th of April. Grab your ticket now at highlandradio.com, and your home might thank you.
With all the stories that matter across the Northwest, it's Greg Hughes on the 9 to Noon Show on Highland Radio.
And it's 11 o'clock. Let's get a news update, and it's over to Donald Kavanagh.
Thank you, Greg. Good morning. The Donegal Fire Service is getting two wildfires under control this morning, one of them in Marnesmore Gap, the other at Nacala. In both cases, helicopters have been on site since early morning to get water to areas where the terrain is difficult. There were 40 admitted patients waiting beds at Letterkenny University Hospital this morning, the second highest figure in the country after Limerick, which had 75. The national total today was 440. Of the 40 patients without beds in Letterkenny, 18 were on emergency department trolleys. The Sligo University Hospital figure today was 21. That's a northwest total of 61. Donegal TDs and senators are being urged to make a cross-party representation to have the national policy prohibiting building along the N56 reviewed. Ongoing efforts have been made at local level in response to the introduction of the policy, which means planning applications for developments along the route are being refused on safety grounds. Now, the Cahirlock of the Glenties Municipal District says there appears to be no plan of yet to make any changes to that policy, and it's time for a national focus to have the situation changed. The Taoiseach says he will push for bourbon to be included on the EU and US tariffs negotiating table. Simon Harris is in Luxembourg today meeting with EU trade ministers to discuss a response to Donald Trump's tariffs, which sent stock markets tumbling around the world over the weekend. Retaliation on the tariffs on steel, aluminium, cars, auto parts and most EU exports could cost €400 billion. That's a cause of some concern, but Simon Harris says some form of action will have to be taken. And there's a call for a national database to track DNA in dog poo. Under current law, it's not illegal for a dog to poo in a public place, but it is illegal to fail to dispose of it. A Dublin councillor says local authorities aren't able to police the problem because they don't have enough wardens. He believes a DNA tracking system combined with larger fines could be a game changer. And we're back with news headlines again at 12 noon.
April 7th, is it?
Indeed it is. Oh.
April 1st. No.
Well, what he's saying is there is a national database of dogs and owners anyway. Just do a DNA test on the dog, get the DNA tracker included in with that, and then if there's poo on the ground...
But people aren't even tagging their dogs.
Oh, of course.
And DNA resources, I mean, there's massive delays in getting DNA processed for crime.
And the shock horror is a councillor is making a proposal that probably realistically will not be implemented.
No,
There's
I
the thing.
don't think so. Yeah, there you go. All right, thanks, Donald. Okay, our lines for the competition are suspended because we're going to be whipping out a ticket and giving away €1,000 in about half an hour, but they're suspended for the moment. Stay right where you are, though, because we're back with sport with Brendan after these.
VHI Multi-Trip Travel Insurance is your passport to peace of mind. Lost baggage in Beijing? Hotel cancellation in Cavan? Sprained ankle in Auckland? You're covered wherever you go. Buy VHI Multi-Trip online today. Terms and conditions apply. VHI Healthcare DAC trading as VHI Healthcare is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland and is tied to Collins and Insurance Europe Limited for VHI Multi-Trip Travel Insurance.
Okay, you're welcome back to the studio. Brendan Devaney has graced us with his presence today, albeit fleeting. How are you getting on?
Yes, very good to see you.
What's the story?
Oh, a wee bit last minute here. I'm just getting a couple of interviews
this is
together.
literally you.
It's not good enough.
Just, look, there's
No.
Oshie,
There's
we're doing
Oshie.
a show here. Right.
It's yeah.
Are you coming in? All right. No.
No, he's got things to do.
Hey, come here. Big game yesterday. Big performance.
Yes.
Big performance by big players.
Yeah, it's been a great time here, and just the whole day. The whole week leading up to it, the McCool Park Picks. I was just chatting to some of them. Was perfect. The setting was great, and Donegal delivered as they have been doing all season. And we're trying to make a case. We'd be up for the match on Saturday night. And we had, likes of Tony Scullion, Chrissy McKaig is on with me now, Declan Bonner and Paul Durkin. We had Michael McMullen, John Hearn was up. So trying to make a case for Derry. Could they muster it up? In your heart of hearts, even the Derry lads couldn't see it. And there was moments in that game where you probably seen that Derry team. Now they were obviously they had a few injuries and walking wounded, but you've seen the best of them. You've seen glimpses of that team that won back-to-back.
But I think
Ulsters.
did that not bring out potentially the best of Donegal gears,
Yeah.
momentum, being able to switch it up, responding. Levels, stuff that we kind of haven't necessarily seen in previous incarnations of Donegal. As soon as there was a threat, it was this burst of power, everyone up, boom.
Yeah, there was real calmness, I think. When Derry got the goal, and it was at that stage Donegal were just being in control of the game, and then we scored 1-1 before the break, and then in the second half that brilliant start from Derry taking our 7-point lead down to 2. We had 7 scores in a row and dominated midfield as well, and really just ended the game as a contest. And listen, having the bench that we had, outside of obviously Langan and Owen Bands, only 2 now, to see everybody coming on yesterday, Gallen obviously had some kind of knock. Jason McGee being back was unbelievable. Murphy playing the full game. Who would have seen that?
Murphy.
Maybe anybody at training, because he's absolutely in lean. He's the best shape. I was in the crack with El Goday there this morning out at the dry arts there, and he was just on about obviously being a club mate, the nick that Michael's got himself into. He's in some
But
shape.
he's obviously a genetic freak as well to some extent.
Yeah.
And I mean that in the most positive way.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously there were shouts for man of the match all over the pitch. I think really one thing I thought I saw yesterday, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, is the critical importance of a solid keeper, as particularly under these new rules.
Yeah, and obviously Lynch would have been that keeper, and the fact that Derry then didn't go to a regular keeper, they went with McNichol, who is an outfield player, and you've seen obviously issues with the kick out. Then it's a bit hit and miss compared to Sean, who is just unbelievable.
I mean, he just puts the ball wherever
of course,
he wants to put it.
He had a double penalty save as well. So Sean's kicks now, even though we're going long, Donegal try and isolate a player and still win possession, but it's not a long kick out like most keepers.
It's how he can release the ball to at the right time as well, and the outfield players know what he's potentially about to do, and he knows where they're going to be or where they're running. I don't want to sort of over amplify it too, but it just seemed really important yesterday, and it added to the whole flow and balance of the team.
Well, you need the strategy of the team now. Greg, you look at kickouts were very important now, but with Sean we were able to get all our own kickouts away. Now a squeeze comes on, you can't go back to keeper, so you have to be very we've had to change, I suppose, our kick-out style as of everybody, but if your starting point is Sean, that means you're going to get so many more kick-outs exactly where you want them. So listen, that is a massive part of the game now, because of so many games I've seen in the league that the scoring has swung, but when you look in the background of it, the kick out had swung with that, because the majority now of possessions with Donegal, you're going to end up with an opportunity. So if you get that ball initially, then if you get it more than the opposition, you should win the game. And Donegal's proficiency up front as well, I think it was 122. It was only maybe 3 points in it from frees. And you look at now the level of coaching that's going on in the background of that. Great players don't foul anymore. I mean, 2 of them were indiscretions, were pulled forward. I think one of them was McFall, was a kind of went across one of our players, and Brian McHugh kicked the ball wide, funny enough, and we got to take it back. So I think that might have been only actual foul, and that was like a clumsy foul. So some players can't get near some of your lads. I mean, you mentioned man of the matches. I mean, O'Boyle, Mogan, Moore, Shane O'Donnell, but the Derry lads couldn't actually get near them. When they got the far side, they were gone. So the athleticism was unreal.
And the leadership too in different. I mean, I think any team is blessed with a good leader. I think we seem to have really, strong leadership all over the pitch. A quick word on Derry though, because it's not. I mean, it's sad enough to see, I suppose, a team that we were talking about them building up to be great. And they did appear to be heading down that line, and just to see the sort of regression, and you see, all-star quality players in amongst, a team that's not just fit to perform as it should. And I mean that with respect and with a note of sadness too, that it's, a better Derry team's better for everyone.
Yeah, definitely. And, with their underage success, with their clubs, with their schools as well, many sectors that's a lot stronger than a lot of things that we would have. But there's just something about Donegal coming together. As I travel around the province with my job, there's other counties that are football fanatics, but they don't seem to really push it up to the level. Now, of course, we've got Jim in there as well, and his obviously influence on this is massive. And I interviewed him yesterday, obviously, and I was texting him then last night, and you talk about the Darragh Boyle, and I texted him about him. You look at Darragh Boyle for a few years there. He was in and out of the Donegal team, couldn't really nail down a place. Now he's one of the best players in Ireland. So what Jim does, and you look at Kieran Moore that came in there, and as I say, those players that I mentioned that are Shane and so many players, they're playing at their optimum, and that's all you ever want. But Jim seems to be able to get the absolute max out of these guys, and it's brilliant for them to be able to be in this moment that they're actually playing.
Amazing. And I wouldn't want to be a player that felt like I'd played 99%, because I would say the expectation right across the squad is 100% the whole time. 2 great guests on tonight to discuss that, and also Donegal have made a cracking start. This is the conveyor belt effectively to the under-20 campaign. 4 wins on the trot. Gary Boyle's in studio as well. So who's on tonight? Run us through the guests.
Yeah, that's it. Gary Boyle. Really looking forward to talk to him. I was covering a couple of these games with Ulster TV, and got to see his teams, and Donegal under 20s, just because Tyrone are the standard bearers in this competition. They've won 2 of the last 4 All-Irelands, and they won it last year, so they were coming to Ballybofey. This was a 50-50, but Donegal completely,
there seems to be
them apart.
Big gaps in the under-20 scene, county to county.
Yeah, if you look at the top teams, nearly they are the top under-20 teams as well. And it's a bit of worrying that, Craig. I was thinking about that during the week. It used to be a thing where,
because you look at what's coming down the line, and there seems to be the underage setup seems to be, some counties are doing it great, and as you say, maybe that's coming with senior success. Some of the scores are bloody wide, like.
And Kerr Lacey's back in our academy as well, so certainly at the minute, and if you look at it the way we can kind of where Donegal senior team is playing, all those under 20 lads, they want to win the under 20 championship, of course, but their big thing is, can we get into this senior team, because you want to be a part of this now, and I suppose that feeds into the next generation.
All right, so DL debate, that and the rest of the GE action from the weekend, it's all live just after 7 o'clock tonight. And also, of course, it's a very popular podcast on our website, available shortly thereafter, highlandradio.com. Brendan, I know you've got to go and get it
Kevin
together.
Cassidy's put me under pressure. If you're listening, hey, he's put the time squeeze on me, so I'm going to jump out and get it.
You need to stand up to these guys.
Do you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You need to show that grit you had on the pitch. You know what I mean? Say, look, Kevin, we can
it's
sort
Kevin
this out.
Cassidy, though. If you
but you could say, look,
I don't
Kevin,
want to get an argument with
we
him.
can sort it out, fisticuffs out in front of Highland. How would you get on?
No, I would definitely go out second.
You're
place.
a tough guy, but I'm afraid I'll back
Not
you, Cass.
Anybody but him. I was always glad he was on my side.
I was going to say, I wouldn't fancy a tussle. All right, take care of yourself. Brendan Devaney there. We were talking about the loos at Rathmullen. A caller says, loos at Rathmullen, some of which are the best public loos in Donegal. They won't be closed that long, I'd imagine, as without them, Rathmullen would not be eligible for the blue flag status this year. Well, unless they throw up a Portaloo. Yeah. Back to sport. Greg, Donegal were brilliant yesterday. The only thing that I don't understand is how the BBC gave Brendan Rodgers man of the match. Really? I didn't see that, actually. I was watching on RTE and listening to Oisín and Brendan, so I wasn't aware of that. That's an interesting one, because I would have thought that it could have cost Derry here and there. Greg, on the point of the wildfires, everyone is saying there's no bad damage done to property. Well, what about the wildlife who are nesting? No wonder our birds are disappearing. Their numbers are declining every year. I get you. Yes, of course, there is the environmental impact as well. I suppose for most people, the initial fault is through, to farmland, to homes and businesses. But you're quite right. It does have an impact on nesting wildlife. Back to the football. Greg is a Donegal supporter and attend all matches. The match was so overcrowded yesterday. The caller says it needs different stewarding. Health and safety not to the forefront. I don't wish to go on. That's okay. You didn't go on. It's a nice short point. Was at the Donegal match, 3 generations, and everyone really enjoyed it. After the match, my grandchildren were delighted to get jerseys signed, but I do think that for the players, it's a big ask, especially in the heat. Tickets are great value, up to 16 years. It's a £5. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what the view is from players. I'll ask Brendan at some point. I would imagine they're happy enough to give 5 or 10 minutes. I mean, they could jog off to sign shirts. You know, you never know that Sean Patton could sign the shirt of a 6-year-old who could end up being a goalie for Donegal men's or women's in 15 years' time and could have had an influence. You just don't know. The Regional Health Forum must be restored so that people access treatment in Donegal and they can travel to Manorhamilton as it's less distance than Galway or Dublin. The local authority needs to do more. But I mean, we had one local rep that wanted to meet with the management at the hospital and was refused that meeting. So what else can you do? I'm not saying let's give up, but I'm just wondering what else can you do. I can't understand why the Irish government are complaining about Trump's tariffs when they imposed VRT on cars bought in Northern Ireland while we're supposed to have free trade between the North and South. VRT's a tariff. It's that simple. It is a tariff. Yeah, it is. It's an invented tax, effectively. Okay, 15 minutes. One of you is going to be a thousandaire or thereabouts. Stay tuned. All the tickets that have been purchased this morning are literally and physically, and I can watch from where I am, being put into the draw drum, into the trombola. That's quite simply how it works. It's not technical. It's pieces of paper with numbers on it, and they're going into the trombola, which will be joining us in studio very, very shortly. I'm going to be chatting to Councillor Martin McDermott. He's chair of the Council's Defective Blocks Committee. We're talking about the public consultation of the draft IS 465. That's on its way.
The county's #1 talk show, The 9 till Noon Show on Highland Radio. The 9 till Noon Show with Letterkenny Credit Union, now offering mortgages from €40,000 to €600,000 with no hidden fees or transaction charges. Letterkenny Credit Union, 9102127.
Hi folks, Nathan Carter here. Why not join myself and the band plus special guest Lisa McHugh for one night only at the Millennium Forum, Derry, Londonderry on Friday the 2nd of May. Tickets available from box office and from nathancartermusic.com.
Mary Kennedy here. Now that I'm 70, I'm feeling as vibrant and full of life as ever. But I also know that with age comes new challenges, like the risk of osteoporosis. Ladies, our bones support us. Now it's time for us to support them. If you're a woman aged over 65, make time for your bone health and break the silence around osteoporosis by talking to your GP or by visiting www.irishosteoporosis.ie. Remember, investing in your bone health today means staying strong and independent tomorrow. In association with the Irish Osteoporosis Society, organised by Amgen.
Tina Turner, that is my
Want to show someone that you think they're simply the best? Or do you have a proud Mary you want to spoil? West End mega hit Tina, the Tina Turner musical, is coming to Bordgash Energy Theatre, Dublin as part of its first ever Ireland tour. Join Highland Radio on Friday the 6th of June for an unforgettable trip. Set to a soundtrack of Tina's greatest hits, this inspirational and exhilarating story celebrates the life of the Queen of Rock and Roll. Trip includes luxury coach travel, overnight stay at the 4-star City North Hotel on a bed and breakfast basis, and ticket to the show. Contact us today on 9125,000 or check out the outlet on highlandradio.com to book your place now.
Highland Radio Time Checks brought to you by EirGrid, the operator and developer of Ireland's electricity grid. EirGrid, powering up communities, powering up Ireland. The time is...
Oh, the time's 18 minutes past 11. A caller says, I watched the Donegal game and was delighted with the result and the performance. However, I think Donegal won by default as Derry made a lot of mistakes. I heard someone on the telly saying that Donegal must be considered as potential All-Ireland winners. I'd hesitate to make such predictions until we've beaten Kerry, Tyrone or Galway. But I suppose we can kind of look a little bit at our league performance and... take some stuff from that. I don't think Galway were terribly impressive. And I watched Mayo Sligo, a bit of Mayo Sligo, much of it, and I didn't see anything too impressive from Mayo either. It could be another barren year for them, but we'll see. The whole fun of sport, though, is that it's not life and death, and we all have opinions. And, you know, you can get up to Hydo and say, oh, this is Donegal's year, and then you have that devastation of disappointment if it's not, or the jubilation if it is. Or you might meet another group of fans from Kerry who say, we're going to stuff yous. And, you know, that's the good thing about sport is that it's not life and death, and that we can enjoy it. It's a positive, welcome distraction for many people. And who's to say what this year might bring? Let's hope it's fantastic stuff, but we don't know. But as I say, it's just sport. I hope whoever's responsible for the hill fires is severely punished, says a listener. I'm still traumatised from the last hill fire near my home. When I saw it happening last night, it really threw me back into the panic of almost losing our home a few years ago. And I can imagine it would as well. You know, the trauma from these experiences can't be overestimated or underestimated, I would say. OK, I think I've got Councillor Martin McDermott, Chair of the Council's Defective Blocks Committee, with me. Are you there, Martin?
Yeah, thanks, Greg.
Brilliant stuff. Good to have you on board. Thanks so much for your time. Right, now, an awful lot to digest because we have... the NSA launching its public consultation for the draft IS 465 assessment, testing and categorisation of damaged buildings incorporating concrete blocks containing certain deleterious materials. So it's another step forward in a relatively slow journey, but an important one, Martin.
Yeah, it's a very important one, Greg. This step is one we've been pushing for quite some time, as you know, and we've managed a conversation with yourself and on the show and about IS 465 and the fact that for quite a number of years now it has been outdated. Going back to 2020, when the scheme was launched in June of 2020. By December of 2020, the senior executive of the council had wrote to the department at that time with his concerns that. With what was coming through from engineers' reports, the fact that pyrite was heavily part of all the reports that were coming in, particularly from the laboratories, that he had concerns at that time. And it took about 9 months then for the department to come back and say that we could take that into consideration. There's been quite a lot of work, and you would have had Paul Dunlop and Anders Lehman and different ones in your show throughout the last number of years that has done a lot of research to help the National Standards Authority come to having this AS 465 now out for review, and which does I think will change where we are in the scheme. There's no question about that.
Well, we'll talk about that in a moment. One thing. Like, I'm aware there are people still at the moment getting tests for mica, literally mica, because they're looking to sell their houses or they're buying a house or what have you. If adapted, will that get the market back moving again and establish what we know already, that mica is not actually the problem, it's other deleterious materials? And just give us some clarity about the language that we use, and as I say, maybe to get the property market in this county moving again where there is capacity for movement.
Yeah, well, that's one of the big issues we're having in the minute with properties, that people want to sell or want to move on. that there's no specifics there around the levels of deleterious materials, and this, which out for public consultation now, it's saying that deleterious materials that are over 0.3% would be classed as critical. So at least there's numbers there. There's still a lot of, we still need a lot of answers around mica. We need a lot of answers around how they're actually going to, it's like everything, Greg. These reports come out. It's how they're interpreted, and how the national standards, how the department, how this is going to be interpreted when it actually is put into legislation, that we have to be careful of, and we need to be sure we have that right. And that's something that we need to sit with the National Standards Authority and have a conversation about how they're actually going to interpret how houses are going to be categorised in the future. It's very clear in this here that they've sort of done away with the options 1 to 5. There's that is not part of this anymore. So there'll be a critical. So if you're over a certain deleterious materials, your house will be determined to be critical, which would be a demolish. Then below that, houses that are not critical, I suppose we have to get clarification as to what remediation options that they're proposing. It doesn't actually say in this report what remediation options they're proposing. It's very clear that anything over those categories that they've put it to will be classed as critical, which will mean they will be demolished. But we need a lot more clarification around what remediation options are going to be.
So could we find ourselves in a situation
around houses that have to be sold?
So we could find ourselves in a situation whereby tests are carried out and the damaging deleterious materials are found to be present. But if they don't reach a threshold, even if, say, for instance, cracking and what have you is present, then people won't have the option potentially to demolish under the scheme. So that means they could effectively be trapped in a house that is of no worth because no one could buy, but there is not actually even an outleaf option for them, for an example.
But I suppose there's been a lot of research into this too, Greg, and there is going to have to be parameters, I suppose, around what is eligible and what is not. I suppose that's where the public consultation process comes in, and I know a lot of the engineers and a lot of the professionals that have been working on this will have their input into that. I do know that I've been talking to different people that feels that the 0.3 is too high, that it should be 0.2, because 0.1 is the recommended value, but then when you put the cement onto the block, that brings it up another 0.1, so that'll be 0.2. They feel that 0.2 would be a better value than 0.3. So there is quite a bit of work to do in the next 8 weeks to tie into the public consultation process to be sure that we get this right, because this is not just about Donegal, this is about the whole country. This is a standard that will be determined through the whole country. So it is something that needs to be right, and it's something that needs to be right for the homeowners, particularly here in this county.
All right, so it's very complex, but as best we can, we covered the categorization stuff, which might get the market moving, and someone can say my house might have this within its concrete, but it doesn't mean it's going to crack or whatever it might be. But so talk to me in layman's terms then. So say, for instance, this protocol it will contain, a protocol for assessing and determining if a building's damaged, what caused the damage. Explain that to us and the importance of that.
Yeah. So there's a few changes here now in this where when you send in you're still be doing your building condition assessment, that'll go on. When they come and look at the house now, if the house has damage, and if the house clearly is in a state that it's very clear that there is substantial damage to the house, the testing process doesn't have to happen in that regard now. That can move straight to an engineer making a recommendation, so they won't have to go through the process of doing all the tests on that home, taking up another probably 6 or 7 months, which really should have been there from day one. When we look back, Greg, like engineers are professionals, they should be able to look at a house and they have a fair idea. You have a fair idea, and I have a fair idea at this stage when you look at a house to determine whether it needs to be demolished or doesn't need to be demolished. So I think that will move the process and help the process a lot if that comes in. That will allow engineers to make quick decisions and allow homeowners to get recommendations from the housing agency a lot quicker. It'll make life easier for the housing agency too, because they have to work within the parameters that has been given through this standard. So that should be a massive help to the process. But there is such an in-depth bit of work done here. It would take a bit of time to go through everything that's involved in this. But I think it's important that everybody takes time, particularly the professionals, and gives their opinion back to this, because we have to get this right this time, Greg. We must make sure that the standard's right and it works for people that have defective homes, but also for people that want to sell their homes and people that have properties that at the minute they can't sell because of not having an actual standard there that determines the limits of deleterious materials or the limits of muscular mica that's in the house.
So in terms of then the categorizations, you talked of 1 to 5, which is really various levels of demolition, isn't it? Whether it's external, internal, and all that type of stuff. So are we going to be left with, if I heard you correctly a little earlier on, either you don't have defective concrete, you kind of do, and there's some patchwork we can do, or you have it to the extent whereby eventually the house is going to be unlivable and you demolish and rebuild. I'm sorry to break it down into really simple terms.
And you're right, and I suppose that is one of the questions that I would have on this standard, that the way it's wrote at the minute. It gives very clear guidance as to what the process is for a demolish, but it doesn't give clear guidance as to what happens a house that might have to be partially remediated if one wall had high levels and another area didn't have high levels. So that is some of the questions that we need to find here, Greg, during this process now. I think, as I said earlier, it'd be important that the national standards, and that's something that we have a defective concrete block meeting on Thursday. It's something that we will be looking for as a meeting with our defective concrete block with the National Standards Authority to ask them these questions as to how they would see that happening for houses that don't meet those levels. Like, you could have houses that don't meet those levels that still have considerable damage. How are they taken into consideration, and what protocol is going to be used for those? So there is a few questions here yet that still have to be answered in that.
Where do foundations factor into this consultation?
Yeah, again, and this, they are going to be testing foundations as well. I think the foundation levels are higher than the ones for the houses. So
is that because of it's being compacted? Ingress is less of an issue.
There's a higher level of cement content, of maybe 35 Newton in the foundations, where the blocks might only have 5 or 6 Newton. So there's different levels of that. But foundations, they are proposing that foundations do be tested.
Can you see it being a situation that if this goes through as is, that there are core samples and foundation samples as part of the process?
Yes.
Which would be a major determination. But then again, I suppose the arguing point is what's an acceptable level in foundations? That's where there might be varying scientific views.
Exactly, and I suppose that's what the process now over the next 8 weeks will entail off. Those professionals and those geologists that have been doing the work on this can see now what's been proposed, and it gives them an opportunity to come back with their comments on what has been proposed, and there have to be to get together then to see how the standard does come out. Probably the standard is still probably 6 months away, Greg, from coming into getting past legislation. After the period now of 8 weeks to the end of May, there will be a process then, I suppose, where the national standards will put together the standard and put that to the Dáil and to the government and to the minister in particular for sign off. That will take a number of months. So you're probably looking at the final quarter of this year before that standard is up and running. But again, I think it has come a long way from where we were, and a lot of the questions that we had over the last couple of years, Greg, and quite a lot has been taken into consideration in this, and it has moved substantially forward. The mica is still in there. It still talks about freeze thaw, and that's something I think that I still don't think is right. I think that freeze thaw issue was very clearly determined during the last 4 or 5 years that is not a factor that happens within houses. That it does not need to freeze thaw for a house to deteriorate, and I kind of don't think that should be part of that of the standard. And I think that has been that has been clearly indicated over the last 4 or 5 years. So hopefully those kind of things that we will be able to have our say in and try and change and make sure that the standard is right for everyone.
At the moment, there's question marks about, like, an engineer might say, look, that this house needs a full demolition. The housing agency might say, partial remediation, and then there's appeals and all that. How would a properly consulted and adopted system avoid that? You know what I mean? Where there's assurances about sign-offs and all that kind of stuff.
And that has been the problem, Greg, throughout this process, where you had, professionals with different opinions, and that's fair, and professionals do look at things in a different way. That has to be something that can't happen when the standard comes out. It has to be very clear. It has to have parameters that are very clear, that if Greg Hughes is making a decision on a house, or if Martin McDermott is making a decision on a house, or whoever's making a decision on a house, that the parameters are there and clear, that it's the same for everyone. Because we've had this conversation loads of times as well over homes that people have got an engineer saying that it has to be demolished, and then another engineer coming along and saying, no, you don't need it demolished, you only need an outside block, or you only need an option 3, you only need a blended option. That's the type of thing that we can't have going forward, because that is unfair on homeowners. And it's certainly not something that can happen after the standard comes on. It has to be very clear.
I don't want to create problems that aren't there, but lots of people have houses that blocks came from different places, and there's parts of the house that seem fine and other parts that seem crap. Does this mean more testing? Because do you bore all the walls and the fans? What about internal walls? How could you determine whether the internal block work is the same external block work? I'm just wondering how this, once developed, takes account of all of that, especially in the context of remedial work.
Yeah. Well, the inside, there at the minute there is a core taken from the inside and the outside, and from the rising walls. Going forward, there'll be cores inside, outside, rising walls, and the foundations as part of this new standard. So that will give a clear indication as to what should happen. I suppose the big issue that we have with houses that particularly for option 3s is where someone might have got their foundation blocks from a supplier, and then got so there could be different contractors that
there could be great blocks built on crap blocks.
Exactly. And then what happened then is the blocks on the top of that built the house was from another supplier, and then you have a house where you have two different elements and two different levels of blocks, two different when it goes to the laboratory and the geologists, it comes back with two different results, one from above ground and one from below ground. And at the minute, the standard that's there makes it very difficult for any engineer, or makes it very difficult for the housing agency to make a determination not to give an option 3, where really that should be demolish. And where this standard now, that decision can be made at the very start without any test done if the house is in real bad shape. And I mean, it makes sense, Greg. To me, and I've said this to you before, option 3s is an option that I don't think ever should have been there. I think there is no, it just doesn't make sense to me that you would demolish your house tomorrow morning and not take out the rising walls below ground level. It just does not make sense. And to me, option 3 shouldn't be there. Option 4 shouldn't be there. But none of those other ones should be there.
But if the truth be told, the only option that makes sense for homeowners and the taxpayer is everything comes out. The foundations, everything. I mean, that's at the end of the day, even if they say make some determination on foundations, the off the record advice would be, hey, when you've the house down, rip out the foundations.
Yeah, and I suppose that's where you will have now at least a result and a test result on your foundations that will determine and clearly tell you whether those foundations are able to stay on or they have to come out. And I think that's the pieces of the jigsaw that has been missing for the last few years, Greg. There's been so much uncertainty and so much uncertainty between both the housing agency and homeowners and their own professional engineers, where there was no clarity. I think this has to be clear. There has to be clarity, and it has to be the same for everyone, and the determination that's made has to be clear. And I think if that was done, it would take a lot of the anxiety out of the whole situation that we're in at the moment.
Do you believe, if adopted as is, right, and this is a dodgy enough question because there's stuff in there that you don't like, does this, in your view, make the scheme more, not talking about caps and stuff, because that's almost somewhat different and something we've talked about an awful lot, but do you believe if when this is adopted, it will make the scheme more accessible, that it will be easier for people to determine if their house needs to be rebuilt or not? And also that we might see the people that were waiting an increase in applicants to the scheme. I know there's length of rope questions in there, Martin, but I'm just wondering, is your gut that once this is settled, that we'll see a raft of applications to the scheme?
Yeah, I think this will certainly open the door for a lot of people that are sitting at the minute with applications that have, been changed from one option to another. I think this will certainly give them a way forward. I think there are people still sitting waiting on this review to happen to get their applications in, and there are, people that know that, where they are at the minute with the standard that was there. It was difficult to get the remediation option that they preferred, or that their engineer, felt that that was the right option for them. I think this will certainly help those people a lot. But it also needs to be sure that when this standard is done, that it's also clear for houses that are okay. I think we have to, like, from a county perspective and from a housing perspective, we have to have a standard as well that we can stand over if a house gets tested and it comes back, that it's okay, that that house can be sold, that that house can be mortgaged, and that house can be insured. I think that's
and with the best will in the world, there is always going to be a large black cloud over the housing market in Donegal from here to forward. How far that spreads, we don't know, but we're still seen as the epicenter. You might not have an answer to this, or you may. Is there a certain percentage of MICA that a bank can refuse to give out a mortgage? Now, they're private companies. They can refuse for whatever reason they like. But anyway, is there a level or percentage of MICA in a house that they use as a guideline, for an example? I know a person that's buying their DCC house. Testing was passed and the bank refused a mortgage as the house had 4% MICA. What is the limit to get approved for a mortgage? Now, really, it's kind of a bit frustrating. We're talking about 3 or 4% of MICA and it affecting a transaction and affecting people's lives like that, because the science is pushing us in a different direction, it seems.
Yeah, I think using one particular deleterious material to determine whether your house should be mortgageable or a house should be sold or not, I think is complete wrong.
Do you know what's worrying, Martin? I think actually the banks should be leading out this themselves. They should know better.
Yeah, and I don't think that banks or anyone. I mean, we have had you've had them on your show on many occasions, lots of professionals with years of experience that have took a number of years to get their head around this, to get to the point that we're at today. I think it's wrong that banks can just throw a number or throw a percentage of something and determine whether I or you or anyone else shouldn't get a mortgage or should get a mortgage. I think that's completely wrong. I think it's the wrong way of approaching this. Hopefully, when this is done now, that standard will make it clear for everyone, and that the banks will step up and play their part. If you're asking me honestly, has the banks stepped up and played a part in this? No, they haven't, and I think they should have. I think that's something that certainly needs to be looked at.
Yeah, as well as their books. Are all houses in Donegal that have defective concrete reflected on their books? I think their investors might have an interest in this. I don't know, Martin, and just reassure me here. I just got a tingle that in terms of foundations, that we're going to get something that's kind of advisory. Do you I just get this feeling that there'll be guidance in terms of foundations, but it will still be the responsibility of the homeowner whether to remove them or not. I can't see foundations coming under the umbrella of the scheme. I really hope I'm wrong, and I don't want to distress people. I've no evidence of that. It's just the language that would. I don't know. Do you have any concerns in that regard at all, or do you believe foundations will be brought into the scheme if the science backs it up?
Well, I think if the science backs it up, and that it is over a certain level, whatever that level will be now when this is determined, I think they will have to come out at that point. There'll be no option for that. I think there has been a lot of tests done in foundations as part of this review with the national standards. I think when Paul Dunlop and Anders Lehmann are on your show, they have done lots of tests on foundations, along with other people as well, the national standards and other companies that have been tying into this process as well. So that has been collated, and I think it's a big step forward, Greg, from where we were, that they're actually going to test foundations. I mean, if we look back only a year ago, that wasn't even heard tell of. There were no intentions of moving to test foundations. Now it's part of the update to IS 465 that they're going to test foundations. So I think that's a major step forward. I think if the parameters now, whatever they may be, if it's over that, there is no choice then that the foundations will have to.
Okay, yeah, exactly. And it comes down to those parameters, and that's where there might be some variance within science. But anyway, that's what this whole process is for. This public consultation is for. The reality is I think we're looking at probably 26, are we, before we see anything formally adopted? But we don't know.
We don't know where they're saying that the standard will be updated in the autumn time at the very latest, by the autumn time. So look, we have to. Everything to me at the minute, and we've said this, and you've said it, and lots of other politicians, every politician that have been working on this has said it, we need the standard to move forward. We need the standard updated. It's the only way that we can move forward, is get the standard updated so everyone can work to the same guidelines, that people know exactly where they stand, and that there's none of this wondering whether my house is going to be changed from one where a professional comes and gives an opinion and another professional comes in and gives a different opinion. I think that's where we need to get to, where their standard is there and everybody works to it.
Okay, Guramahigut, Martin, thanks for your time. A lot in there.
Thanks,
I do appreciate it. It's a complex document. Thanks very much. That's Councillor Martin McDermott, Chair of the Council's Defective Blocks Committee. Would you like to win €1,000? Would anyone out there want to win £1,000? Well, one of you is going to win €1,000 in about 4 minutes.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, offering low-rate car loans with fast approval. Apply online at letterkennycu.ie or in office today.
Hi, Paddy here at Shane Conley Cars in Donegal town. Are you looking to upgrade your car? With Shane Conley Cars, you'll find makes and models for every budget. Great finance options, and we also accept trade-ins. Check out shaneconleycars.com or call in to us at Shane Conley Cars from Lonaher Road, Donegal town.
Don't miss a night at the Opry, the brand new country concert show in the Millennium Forum Derry on the 17th of April. Join Johnny Brady, Claudia Buckley and John Hogan as they sing the biggest hit songs in country music in the Millennium Forum Derry on the 17th of April. Tickets now on sale from Venue Box Office. That's a night at the Opry, April 17th.
Why leave the magic moments and great scenes you've captured sitting on your phone when you can have them printed at McGee's Chemist? Using McGee's website or one of their in-store kiosks, you just upload your photos, select the ones you want, and have them printed instantly within an hour, or use the 24-hour service. 35mm and film from disposable cameras also printed, and old photos can be digitally restored. Hold your memories in your hand with McGee's Chemist, Letterkenny.
A PTSB mortgage gets you moving. Whether you're buying or building your first home or your forever home, our dedicated team can help find the rate that's right for you. And with an online portal to track every stage of your application, it all comes together for a mortgage experience that's altogether more human. PTSB. Apply online today. Lending criteria, terms and conditions apply. Over 18s only. Security and insurance is required. Permanent TSB PLC trading as PTSB is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Simplify your debts with a debt consolidation loan from Letterkenny Credit Union. Call us on 074 910 2126 or apply online via our app or in office today.
Do you need a UK address? Save hundreds of euros on custom charges shopping online with Space Hub Dairy. We provide a full virtual office address mailbox service for all your business and personal use. Save your business hundreds, possibly thousands on custom charges with Space Hub Dairy. Call 048 7187 8077 for more details.
With more routes nationwide, your TFI Local Link bus service provides connection to the wider Transport for Ireland public transport network. Save up to 30% when you use your TFI Leap card on TFI Local Link services. For route and timetable information, visit transportforireland.ie. We're Transport for Ireland. We're Transport for you.
Donegal Town Hardware's massive fencing and paving sale takes place this weekend, with discounts on all fencing, paving and decking. 15% off smart fence, composite fencing, PVC fencing and ESC fencing. 15% off cobble paving and composite decking. And big savings on all timber fencing. Don't miss out on these unbeatable deals this Friday 11th and Saturday 12th of April at Donegal Town Hardware.
Highland Radio weather updates with McElhenney's. Discover trending new styles each week in fashion, footwear, accessories, homeware and more. Visit us to explore the latest arrivals in store or shop online at mcelhenneys.com today.
Continuing Sunday, sunny. Temperatures are 14 to 18 degrees. Okay. Mr. Sean Quinn, how are you getting on?
I'm good, Greg.
Here we go.
Sunny day. Somebody's going to be €1,000 richer very shortly.
Yeah, indeed. Just turn that B towards you, Sean. It's not your fault. The B at the that. Corinne, do you want to help?
You give me instructions. I get nervous.
It's just the B. Yeah, that's it. Exactly.
Okay.
Good stuff. Right. So, €10,000 to spend with Foy's. We know what you can do with that. €10,000 in cash, 20 grand in total, and then you threw the additional 5 grand in. So we've 5,000 on this show. Then John's, David's
1,000.
What did I say?
5,000.
Oh yeah, 5,000 over the week.
Yeah.
Then 1,000 on this show. 1,000. Is that a contract? 1,000 on this show. 1,000 on John's show, David's show, Ivan's show, and then back to the breakfast show
on Friday.
Alarm clock on Friday.
Yep.
So if you've got your ticket, you are in all the draws now anyway. We will try and give you a buzz just to see what the crack is, but you don't have to answer your phone. If your number comes out, you've won. It's a cracking prize. Again, just a quick word on Foy's, because we love working with them. They're great partners on this. It was successful the last time, of course, and you always know when you do something again that it suits all parties.
Yeah, it's absolutely. They're a great partnership, Greg. They from the outset, they're very much up for this and promote it themselves internally, and it's a great prize for somebody to get, and to get 10,000 to up your house, another 10,000 in cash. It's not bad now, is it? Not bad.
It's decent. And 10,000 will get you a lot in Foy's as well.
It will, absolutely.
They are incredibly competitive with all different types of stuff to just reinvigorate your house. You know, we talk about the housing market, and I've said it before. A lot of us are in our houses. You know, it's grand. It could be worth whatever it might be worth, but you have to buy another house if you sell it. So, you know, you do what you have and add value to it that way. Shall we do a draw or what?
Let's give away a grand.
So the lines are just suspended for the time being. There's still plenty of incentive to buy your tickets, but just for now, we are going to draw a ticket. And do you want to avail of this camera here, Sean? Just be conscious of that one. I won't get you to roll your sleeves up. I trust you. Right, are we digging deep?
Yeah, pretty deep.
Okay.
As deep as my arms will go.
Right, okay, so that's just off the top. Not many joking. Right, our ticket is 3120. 3120. That is the winning ticket for today. That's €1,000. That number is worth €1,000. Okay, so as I say, the person has won it. Don't worry, you don't have to come on. We'd love to chat to you just to share the joy, but you've €1,000 to spend right now. 3120 it was.
What would you do if you got €1,000 today, Greg, given to you?
I've got things. I think what I would try, I'm like everyone else. I've got plenty of debt, you know, the credit union, the mortgage and stuff. But I think if I won €1,000 like that, I'd try and treat me or the family to something. You know what I mean? I wouldn't throw it in, because I think you could throw it into the debt hole and get no joy from it.
Yeah.
So I'd try and get joy from it, whatever way it is. So what would I do? Probably book a holiday, maybe. You know,
Yep.
spend an hour in Centre Parks.
Yeah, you'll need your debt to rise again after an hour.
Right, okay. Just whilst we get a name associated with that number, I want to tell you about the Saw Doctors. They are on a real rise at the moment. They were performing at the weekend. They've performed with the RT Concert Orchestra, and they are coming to Letterkenny on Saturday the 16th of August, and they've got special guests coming with them. It's part of Summer Sessions in Letterkenny, and I talked a little earlier on about you do something again when it's a success, and Summer Sessions proved very successful last year, and they're going again. And the Saw Doctors, I defy anyone not to like the Saw Doctors, because if you don't like the N17, you're going to love the Red Cortina. They've got hit after hit after hit. So do you want to see the Saw Doctors live in Letterkenny this summer? Well, we've got 2 tickets up for grabs, and they could be yours. It's already 80% sold out, by the way, so it is going to be a sellout, and these tickets will not be available otherwise. It's their only performance in the North and West this summer, so it's your only chance to see them local. And it's all happening at Summer Sessions on August 16th, live at the Big Top. That's down at Kiltoy Roundabout, as you know. The festival has it all over 2 weekends. There's live music from Picture This, love them, The Human League, class act, and there's going to be more to be announced. But that's not too bad going so far. So if you want to get your hands on 2 tickets to see the Saw Doctors, simply head over to our social channels and follow the steps. The winner will be announced on Tuesday, the 8th of April at 10 a.m. Now, we will contact you on our page. Our page will be used, so please, there are scammers that are out there, and they scam funerals, everything. They jump on absolutely anything, so just be aware there are fake pages. Highland Radio will never ask you to click any links, to enter or claim your prize. So we'll announce it on our Facebook, and we'll engage with you directly. We'll never ask you to click a link. Okay, so that's 2 tickets for the Saw Doctors. It's sure to be a sellout on August 16th, just around the corner. Get onto our socials and follow the deets there. Right, just a name, no call, right? Okay. So the winner of our draw was 3120, and the lucky winner of €1,000 cash money is Christine Byrne from Letterkenny. Christine, you are the first €1,000 winner. We will have another 1,000 tomorrow, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then the big one, April 16th, live on Around the Northwest. 10 grand to spend at Foy's, 10 grand in cash. Sean, will you put that back in?
I will, of course, yeah.
Because your fantasy may still come true.
Stay
Whereby
tomorrow,
someone wins.
3120.
No, he still thinks one person's going to win all 5 cash prizes and the big one.
At least. If I throw another bonus to make it 6, you never know. One day.
Right, so that's it. Christine, well done. And you are back in the draw, Christine. You never know. I do take a hand a little bit, but your name could go out. I'm sure you've equal chance. I don't know how odds work. Right, Sean, so the lines are back open again. If you've just tuned in and you think you've missed out, we've got 4 grand to give away, plus 20 grand as part of our home makeover. That includes 10 grand for Foy's, 10 grand cash. And John Breslin's got a grand tomorrow. David James has got a grand on Thursday. Yep. Wednesday. Yeah. Ivan's got a grand on Thursday, and then Lee Gooch will be going crazy.
Nice early start for me on Friday.
Yes, good. Not good enough for you.
Why not? Why not?
But you go to the gym now in the mornings.
I do, yeah, I do. I try to get there every morning, yeah. So
every morning.
Yeah, I do, yeah. But last week I was out because of this kind of flu I've got over me at the moment. So
yes, okay.
Not very nice.
Right, okay. Again. You can still get your tickets. They're available for you right now. You've still got a ton of chances. And are you going to throw anything in at this point?
No. I thrown the kitchen sinks in now.
Okay,
so you're 4,000 extra. It was busy there before the draw. So if you didn't get through, you can go online, highlandradio.com. You can ring us, and you will be in for tomorrow's draw. We'll probably close the lines roughly at about 1 o'clock tomorrow.
Right, okay.
So if you haven't got a ticket, good time to buy one.
All right, Sean, thanks for that. I think that's it, isn't it?
Yeah,
that's our homework done. All right, thank you. Wishing our amazing mammy and granny, Rosaline McElhenney, Main Street, Clonmany, a very happy 90th birthday. You're the heart of our family, and we're so proud of you. With love from all the family and grandchildren, near and far. Hope you have a lovely day. So let me join, if that's okay, in wishing Rosaline McElhaney, Main Street, Clonmany. Happy 90th birthday, Rosaline. I hope you're a listener to the show. I hope you heard that. And if you are, hello. Right. I was in Letterkenny Hospital Wednesday with a fractured ankle. 2.5 hours x-rayed in and out. Brilliant. Once you leave reception into the system, it looks chaotic, but it's working. The staff were amazing under the circumstances. Non-Irish ones were so friendly, constantly smiling and helpful. The ones I dealt with, mostly, to be honest with you, well done. And as I say, just to reiterate, we do understand, because we are from the community and we know it's nuanced, that some people have amazing experiences, but that doesn't mean then we can not highlight when people have poorer experiences. Okay, that is the 9 till noon show. Thank you for texting in and for calling in or just listening or watching. It's great to have you with us. Just a reminder, if you are listening on the podcast, and many of you do, walk in the afternoons or out doing the gardening or whatever in the evenings, or indeed if you're listening to the replay overnight, I want to specifically invite you guys to get involved in the conversation as well. Just because we're not live doesn't mean we don't want your views. So email comments@highlandradio.com or WhatsApp 086 60 25,000 and we'll pick up your comments and then carry them into the next live show. So there's no excuses not to get involved. But for today, that is where we leave it on this beautiful sunny Monday live.